Oh, the crystal waters of the Bay of St. Petersburg. You come across Albert Whitted Airport. In fact, one of the runways will serve as our front straightaway here in the streets of St. Petersburg as we get ready to start the 2011 IZOD IndyCar season. The beginning of the race season brings both anticipation and excitement. The anticipation is of the new drivers with new teams, new cars with new paint schemes. The excitement is knowing each driver has his or her own goal in sight. This is a rite of spring. It's a road well traveled. It is the road to glory.
The road to racing glory began 100 years ago. And the drivers of the past have made their mark in a century of seasons. And now the heroes of this age all seek a common goal, creating their own history. Heroes of the past have made their mark, but with multiple championships and magnificent wins. Anticipation and expectations weigh upon a team wearing a bullseye on their back. The dawning of a new era has delivered a star filled with glitz, glamour. Will one of racing's most famous drivers, known for turning heads, continue to rewrite history? Can the original gold standard team reclaim their fuel-injected swagger? Their legacy of battle-tested drivers and celebrated seasons intact. Is it time for this team to reclaim its glory? Can young guns with celebrated pedigrees prove their worth in the name of fame and family? Who will have the courage, the fortitude to chase down a dream known to many but realized by few? To push themselves beyond the boundaries of a century-old fantasy. To become the greatest in the world.
It is an absolutely picture-perfect day here in St. Petersburg as we get ready to start the 2011 IZOD IndyCar Series campaign with the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. And you see the great crowd that's already filing in as the drivers are getting ready. Tony Kanaan in new colors with a new team, KV Racing. One of 8 drivers. Alex Tagliani was co-owner last year. Now he's back to just driving for Sam Schmidt. Sebastian Saavedra came over from the Indy Lights, had a hard crash yesterday in qualifying. Ryan Hunter-Reay, Vitor Meira, 2 guys looking for a big 2011. As we welcome you topside, I'm Marty Reed alongside with Scott Goodyear. So glad that you're with us. The excitement level is absolutely unbelievable this year, and we're not blowing you smoke. We have got new rules. We're going to talk about double file restarts. This is going to be interesting. New drivers, new teams, 8 different combinations. What do you expect?
Well, this is a season that I can't remember like any other where drivers have moved around. And yes, we have new car colors, but the drivers in those teams, you talked about Tony Kanaan with KV Racing. He's got something to prove right now after being let go from Andretti. So I think right now a lot of drivers are out there to prove it, but they're proving it on a very tough racetrack here at St. Petersburg. It's unforgiving, and I think we're going to see a lot of action today.
We've already had a lot of action. We'll show you some of that in just a few moments. Let's also put into perspective what this is all about for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The 100th anniversary from Ray Haroon's win back in 1911. I mean, you take a look at some of these old pit videos. A.J. Foyt won the 50th anniversary. Who's going to win this year? It's going to be so much fun.
Well, I can tell you, everybody I've spoken to in the garage, if they haven't won, this is the one they want to win. And if they have won previously, boy, they want to make sure that they win the 100th here.
And, of course, you have to deal with champions and championships. And who better to talk about champions than Dario Franchitti? I mean, between he and Scott Dixon for Chip Ganassi, they have won the last 3 championships. They're the 2 of them are. In fact, it has been a very dominant run for the Target Group.
The Target Chip Ganassi team, they have won so many big races.
Fans on their feet saluting Scott Dixon.
Scott Dixon is going to complete his perfect storm with a win at the Indianapolis 500. He's going to win it. Franchitti has won it.
Dixon is going to win it by 1/1000th of a second.
The championship for 2010 goes to Dario Franchitti.
You're the champion, pal.
Anytime it's an IndyCar Series race, you know you've got to beat Team Ganassi, and that features Dario Franchitti and Scott Dixon. Literally and figuratively, Dario wearing the target on his back this season as the defending series champion. How do you assess the depth of the competition challenging you for the championship this year?
I think it's as strong as it's ever been, and I was lucky enough to drive here in the late 90s with guys like Alex Zanardi, Juan Pablo Montoya, Greg Moore, these type of guys, and it's every bit as strong as that today. It's really tight.
You're part of the driver advisory committee. 2 significant changes: where you start the race or a restart about 200 yards in front of the start-finish line, and the double file restarts. How do you see that affecting the race today?
It's going to be very interesting. Getting everybody in line is going to be one thing, but then it's just going to completely change the shape of the field going into turn 1. Because of that later acceleration, you're going to be going a bit slower, but you're going to be closer together too. So as long as they sweep outside of turn 1 and turn 2, we could see some really interesting stuff today.
Keep an eye on Dario. He'll start second today, and his teammate Scott Dixon will start third. Kind of been bad luck place for you the last few years. 3 straight accidents at DNS, and I know you've had some mechanical issues this weekend. What have those been, and how does that affect the car today?
Well, I think first of all, the focus goes on to the 9 target car trying to finish the race. I've been leaving the track and catching the plane actually before the race finishes for the last 3 years, as you said. But yeah, we've had a little, I don't know, malfunction or just a few issues with shifting, and then obviously straight line speed. We gave up a lot in qualifying just on the straights alone, so still trying to figure that out. But all in all, the guys on the team have done a fantastic job. We changed engines, we changed gearboxes, we changed brakes, we changed everything to try and find a solution. So hopefully we'll have it sorted.
Certainly be a story we'll be keeping an eye on today. Scott Dixon, always one you got to contend with on race day.
Well, and when you think back to last year with Chip Ganassi, the year he had was absolutely incredible. Started at Daytona with the 500 win by Jamie McMurray.
And then for a situation where you come back to try to repeat at Indianapolis for Dario Franchitti to come in for a second win, that was something very special for him.
And then in the month of July, the Brickyard 400, they do it again. Jamie McMurray comes across the stripe first to kiss the bricks. And of course, they cap it off with the championship from not only 2010, but the year prior, as Dario Franchitti is a 2-time defending IndyCar Series champion. There's Danica Patrick. Of course, she's been making a lot of news in 2 different series, doing double duty in both the IZOD IndyCar Series and NASCAR. Danica Patrick is going to lead. First woman to lead a lap here at Daytona in a NASCAR-sanctioned event. Danica could make another page of history in her racing career. Danica Patrick in 4th. Oh, right. And it's Danica Patrick, the first time this year. She has tagged the wall.
Hey, we see this in IndyCar races. She gets mad.
Well, most drivers are having their first race for the season out here this year. Danica Patrick's already had a season already. She's had highs, she's had lows, she's had controversy, but you're at an IndyCar race. Did it feel a little comfortable to get back to these old confines?
Well, it's, I think that for me this year has been a lot of highs, and the other day in qualifying, I'm starting pretty far back. That was the first bad day I've had all year, and so I can't complain too much. It's been a really good year so far, and so to answer your question, do I feel more comfortable? Well, I'm starting 19th, so I don't really know how comfortable I can feel with that, but I would say overall I'm getting more comfortable in a stock car. So to me these days, it's all getting a little bit more comfortable. But my happiness and my for me, it comes from doing well, and so I'm gonna have to turn qualifying around and have a good finish today.
And one of Danica's specialties has been bringing the car home safely. With these double foul restarts, that's going to be harder to do.
Well, there's the man that's going to start on point. He was the winner of the road course championship last year and almost won the overall title. Will Power, and of course, he's one of the 3 Penske drivers as they are attempting to reclaim some glory. Of course, the faces of Team Penske from a previous generation, Rick Mears, Emerson Fittipaldi, Al Unser. Well, the new faces of Team Penske, the current generation with Ryan Briscoe, Elio Castroneves, and Will Power. And of course, they've done well winning the 500 with Elio 3 times. And of course, Ryan Briscoe's won here at the streets of St. Petersburg, and Will Power won at the streets of St. Petersburg just last year. But they have not been able to win a championship recently since '06. Jamie Swift, our pole sitter.
That's Will Power. We've been talking a lot about you, Will. Of course, a lot of people chasing you right now. However, you're on the pole once again. You had some issues with the throttle issue yesterday. How is the car?
Yeah, the car's pretty good. I think there's a big difference between, yeah, we're just getting burnt here, but there's a big difference between black and black and red tires in balance, so it's going to make for good racing. You know, we've set our car more for red, so looking forward to getting that Verizon 12 car right at the front today.
A lot of questions this morning in the drivers' meeting about the double file restarts. You're starting up front. People at home need to realize you guys don't have bumpers. What is your concern about today's race?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're all professional drivers, and we're trying this double file thing. So, you know, we just need to be sensible in the first corner, and obviously there's going to be a lot of cars in a small space. And, you know, like you say, we can't bump. We're going to knock wings off and, you know, cut tires. We got to be smart about it.
All right, Will Power starts from the pole once again.
It began in 1911, and this Memorial Day, the tradition continues with the 100th anniversary of the Indianapolis 500. Defending champion Dario Franchitti sets the standard in racing, while superstar Elio Castroneves eyes win number 4. And Danica looks to rewrite the story of men and their machines. 100 years of risk, 100 years of reward, and every driver's dream to win the greatest spectacle in racing. It'll be happening on ABC May 29th. At 11 a.m. and talk about some past winners. How about 3-time winner Lone Star JR Johnny Rutherford drives the pace car for the IZOD IndyCar Series. Good to see you. And Bobby Rahal, now of course a team owner, the 1986 Indianapolis 500 champion. And all you have to say is Mario, and everybody knows exactly who you're talking about. He's driving the IZOD IndyCar 2-seater. That's why he's dressed up in a fire suit. In fact, let's flash back to 1969. What a great moment as Andy Granatelli, the car owner, as they celebrated. And of course, another driver, Bobby Rahal, and both of them have a grandson and a son looking to make their name.
Marco Andretti is your race leader. The 19-year-old is going to win at Infineon.
Great job, kid. Great job.
That was big. That was a big win.
Here comes Graham Rahal. He's going to say, hey, Pop, look at me. I'm going to win in my first IndyCar start. Say hello to a new star in the IndyCar Series.
Part of the extended team for Chip Ganassi this season features this driver, Graham Rahal. And Graham, you've bounced around a little bit the last couple of years. How important is it to you to be in a stable situation with a team like Ganassi?
Well, I mean, it's great to be here, and obviously with the support of Service Central, we are here. They're the ones that made this possible. But you know, I hope this is for the long term. Really, this is our first weekend as a team. We've only been around for a couple of months now, but I mean, as a driver, you always have to be in a stable spot. There's so many other things in life that are constantly going around in circles that to be in one place is what you need. And so I hope certainly as this year goes on, we can maximize that.
You won this race in your debut in this series in 2008. You sat on the pole here the following year. How does that past success generate confidence for you as you head into today?
Well, I mean, St. Pete's always been an awesome place for me. You know, to get my first win, as you said, my first pole here. It's a great event, great atmosphere, great town. You know, certainly I hope it brings me luck today. We're starting 12th, so we got some work to do. But I think we've got a good car. If we can stay clean, this whole double wide restarts and everything, this is going to be pretty interesting. So we got to keep our nose clean and we'll be fine just when the, I guess, lap 90 comes, we'll go racing.
Graham Rahal comes out of the 6th row today, Marty.
Well, Graham, who calls New Albany, Ohio home, just a suburb of Columbus, was the youngest race winner in series history, also the youngest to sit on the pole. Won here his only win back in 2008, but he did win earlier this year at the Rolex 24 at Daytona. Now, another young man we were really impressed with this weekend, that man right there, Mike Conway. The last time we saw him was at the Indianapolis 500 in what was one of the worst crashes ever.
Oh, we've got a crash! Oh, a wicked crash involving 2 cars at least.
Oh my, what a mess in that corner.
That's Mike Conway going hard into the net. And you could see that the catch fence did its job.
Horrible impact. Wow. And there he is with the helmet on, getting ready to go racing again, and he has been performing well.
Very well, and I spoke with Michael Andretti, his new team owner. He said when he went to the first test, he was wondering whether he'd be physically and mentally fit. And Michael, a past driver himself, obviously said, I was impressed with how focused this guy was. He is going to win races for us this year.
All right, you've heard everybody talking about the double file restarts. Let's explain exactly what the difference is going to be for everybody.
Well, as a driver, I think we love the old era where we came down single file. You could accelerate well before the last turn, get a lead on the guy behind you, and when the green flag flew, you could pass at any time. Now with this double file restart, you have to line up 2 by 2 all the way through. There is now an acceleration line that the driver has to wait for before he can turn around and have the opportunity to accelerate. We're going to mark this line right here. It's actually just forward of the start-finish line, about 200 yards, and the line itself will actually be the acceleration line for the driver. So that's one line you have to worry about. The second information package here is you cannot pass until you reach the start and finish line. So 3 different things that we've had from previous, and it will be interesting to see if all these drivers can process all this information and get it right.
And the big question is, do you like it?
I like it because it's going to create some passing opportunities. Drivers love starts because you have the opportunity to pass people. It's a dangerous time, though. So now we're going to have it on the restarts. Yes, you have an opportunity to pass. Like Will Power said, maybe we're going to have some wings and some contact. This is not a contact sport with our cars, but I think it's going to turn into that today.
Well, let's find out what the drivers think. We asked them.
Change is always good, you know, and I think we should try. Some days going to benefit me, maybe some other days won't benefit me.
It'll cause for some action, and there'll be things that happen, but we need to do something to spice it up.
If you're leading a race, you'd much rather have a single file restart where you give it a jump.
You got to approach it like the start. You know, you always a bit tentative, a bit careful.
If you're in P5 or P6 or somewhere in the middle of the pack, you have a good chance to make up a few positions on restarts.
It's going to add some excitement, but we got to be careful of this whole cautions, precautions thing. We're just going to have to, you know, have our heads screwed on tight and hopefully come through with all 4 wheels on the car and maybe a position or 2 in front of where we were.
It's going to take a lot of restraint from everybody.
We're all professionals, supposedly, and I think we can make it work.
If you're looking for a place to vacation, come down in March when we're here for the IZOD IndyCar Series. St. Petersburg, just a beautiful spot, as we have had great weather all weekend long. And yeah, our crew was even out building a little sandcastle. Good job, guys. And the fastest drivers in the IZOD IndyCar Series getting ready for the command to start engines. We can tell you that we saw James Jakes' car being rolled out. It is right there. And now let's talk about the fact, what's it like to be climbing into a car that hasn't turned a wheel and you're about to go race?
Well, first off, because it's a backup car, he will start at the back of the field. But for a driver, you like the comforts of your primary car. The seat is perfect, the belts fit well, your steering wheel position, everything is as you want it. In the backup car, usually not particularly completely close to what your primary was. So for him, he's going to have a few little things that are creature comfort differences, and then also the handling of the car. Is the car going to handle the same with the steering, with the power down, all those issues the driver looks for, especially on a tough street circuit here like St. Petersburg. He'll take a few laps, I think, Marty, to get a feel for that.
Elio Castroneves is going to start 9th in this field, so not the kind of qualifying he had yesterday. He's right in the middle of what could be a very big logjam going into 1.
And he's made some changes on his car, took some information from Will Power's car, so I think for him right now, he's going to have something different, but he knows it's not that far off. He just has to go and chase his teammates.
So as Elio gets ready and you look down at this beautiful crowd, it is time to get the 2011 IZOD IndyCar Series underway. Let's go trackside for the command.
St. Petersburg race fans, are you ready? It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome Vinny LeCavier from the NHL's Tampa Bay Lightning to get the command.
Drivers, start your engines.
Ready, up, set. Copy. All right, Daku, got to remember it's 3rd time by. Try to save the fuel on these on laps. For the first couple laps,
the guys did a great job. They told you they'll have 3 pace laps, and of course, that means 3rd time by will go green. Right there, the brand new Salvador Dali Museum, right in the whole complex here of the racetrack. We're going green after this message from a word of our ABC stations. Back here at St. Petersburg, let's check the weather for you. And this is not to rub it in for everybody up north who's still in the snow and the cold, but it is a wonderful 85 degrees. But the wind has picked up. It is now a steady 20 and gusting sometimes even higher. We'll check in with everybody to see if that's going to affect anything down trackside. Across the top of the screen, you'll see our Honda starting grid. It'll set the field for you. And as we continue to work our way around, they also have the Honda two-seater out there, and it's Honda's fastest seat in sports sweepstakes, and it was so popular last year, they wanted to create 2 more opportunities for fans to win. Just go to shophonda.com, sign up for your chance on the IZOD IndyCar two-seater. It's driven by Mario Andretti. And who's on board today? That's Warren Dunn, he's a former NFL player right here in the Tampa area. He's having the time of his life. While they're going around this track and we get a view from high above, why don't we get a little closer perspective, Scott?
Well, a very great racetrack here for the streets of St. Petersburg, but the interesting thing that all the drivers will tell you that it's punishing and it is unforgiving. 1.8 miles in length, 14 turns, and very tight. As we mentioned, just going through the walls here. It's not driven at 30 or 35 miles an hour. You're up to 160 miles an hour going into turn 1 as we ride along now with Will Power down the front stretch, which is part of the airport runway system, down to second gear at 60 miles an hour. Hard acceleration through the gears and a run down to turn 4. You see that complex 4 through 9. Very tight, taken in second gear as you enter here in turn 4, and it's hard to pass through here. Somebody really has to make a mistake, and the walls, as you can see, any error by the driver, and it's going to take you out of the race. You come out of turn 9 here and go down the backstretch up to about 150 miles an hour through the kink and down through turns 10, 11, 12, taking you into turns 13 and 14. Another passing opportunity here as you come out of those turns, and the most important thing, though, is come out of this last turn very quickly. If you spin the tires, drivers will take advantage of that and pass you going down into turn 1, the best passing place here at St. Petersburg.
And that's one lap. Let's also check in on our GoDaddy.com rules of racing.
Well, in the line of safety right now, Honda has come up with a new fuel probe, which does not allow the drivers to engage in gear when it's during a pit stop and the car is up on the jacks. So we'll talk more about that as the race progresses. Tires, Firestone have brought 2 great tires here, a primary and an alternate. The primary is a black sidewall. The alternate is the red. The red is the faster of the 2. We'll keep you up to date on what the drivers have on their cars as the race progresses. The Honda Overtake Assist, also known to drivers as the push to pass. You get about another 10 horsepower, 200 RPM. You have 20 options to push that. It lasts for 12 seconds. We'll let you know when the drivers are using that. And also the pit lane is now open after the wave around. So once the pace car is out and packed everybody up and everybody's had an opportunity to pit, the people that are out in between the pace car and the lead car, then get the wave around, they have an option, Marty, to come in and maybe top up with fuel before the race goes green.
Great with the pyrotechnics in the background. Here's our onboard cameras. J.R. Hildebrand, he's going to be starting 24th, a little farther forward. The 83 of Charlie Kimball, as there he'll be on the 22nd starting grid position. Danica Patrick carrying an onboard camera as well, starting 18th. A little farther up, Ryan Hunter-Ray, he's in the number 28. He'll start 14th. Ryan Briscoe in the number 6, one of the Team Penske cars, starting 5th. And our pole sitter, Will Power, with our 6th and final camera. Let's get a quick update from pit road. Vince.
Well, Marty, a year ago, KV Racing had an unbelievable season. 35 wrecked cars. A cleaner season is top priority for KV's stable of drivers this season. Tony Kanaan, Takuma Sato, and EJ Viso. But already this weekend, it's gotten off to a rough start. Viso made contact in the first 3 practice sessions. 2 of those mechanical issues, but still a challenging start for KV Racing here this weekend at St. Petersburg. Now for a late season addition to the driver's stable for KV, let's go over to Rick DeBruhl.
Yeah, Tony Kanaan may be a series veteran in the IndyCar series, but it's not business as usual. As a result of what happened at the end of last season, parting ways with Andretti Autosport, he's got a new team, and they're trying to find out what their first school project is going to be like today. Marty?
And you can see they're already forming up. They come down and around turn 14. Pace car is pulled off. Now they're supposed to come down at about 60 to 70 miles an hour. Stand by because the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg here to start the 2011 season is green. Oh, they're going to try 4 wide. We have contact and a huge crash right in the first corner, and the car's upside down. Elio Castroneves involved. Scott Dixon is involved. The 27 Mike Conway. And I cannot tell who that is. That's, oh, it's Marco Andretti. Conway's got problems. You see the right rear suspension is broken on his car. The 6 of Ryan Briscoe also involved. And look at Dixon. Remember, he talked about it. For the last 3 years, he has not been around for the finish of this race. And it looks like he may not be again. Now the 02 of Oriol Servia gets refired and back underway from Ryan Briscoe's onboard camera.
Just a lot of carnage in turn 1, something that drivers certainly could avoid. They're going to upright the car right now. Marco Andretti, I'm sure, will just climb out. These cars are built so strong, as you see his dad, Michael Andretti, looking on. Knows how strong these cars are. Probably not very worried about the safety of Marco. As a driver, Marty, I can tell you, you're more aggravated about not being in the race at this point in time.
There's Grandpa looking on as well with a very concerned look. Not the first time that Marco has been on his lid. Remember Indianapolis a few years ago, got upside down there. The crowd giving Marco a hand as he climbs out. He is not happy, as you would expect in this situation. All right, let's go back and take another look at this.
Well, as you can see at the start already, they're not really as closely lined up as they should be, but a lot of movement in the back section there as it is. Marco just gets himself in too strong. The back end starts to come around. Remember, the tires are cold. There is no temperature. The low pressures are there. You don't have the grip with the car as you would if you ended up running the car for a couple of laps. There again, look on the inside. Marco Andretti is now starting to dive down the inside. He's on the paint from the runway. There is no grip on that paint, and you can see what happens. Everybody else starts to just go around him trying to avoid it, and it just ends up with carnage with all cars going in all different directions.
Well, and it looked like Marco got some help from Helio Castroneves. Castroneves got into his rear tire and sort of pushed him over as well. I go back to Al Unser Jr. talking in the driver's meeting. He said, guys, you got to take care of each other through these first couple of corners. Obviously, didn't take enough. Let's just ride along. Now from Will Power's perspective. Clean. And the reaction from Mario, not pleased.
Well, you're going from 60 or 70 miles an hour on the start, and you'd be up to about 145, maybe 150 quite quickly. We talked there again about the cold tires as we see the number 9 Scott Dixon machine, sponsored by Target, going to come in. I'm sure they'll try to do some repair here. Does not look like any of the wheels have been hit, so his alignment should be okay. Maybe if he can just get some new wings on it and a side pod, maybe they'll continue.
Scott Dixon said yesterday it is so important to get a good start to the season. It felt was one of the keys to him not winning the championship last year. Already in turn 1, he's in trouble in 2011. We're going side by side. Stay with us. Under our first caution here at St. Petersburg, as the first start to the year did not go as planned.
As we watch down the left-hand side of the racetrack, the driver's right, you can see Marco pulling out and starting to make a move. The car behind him, Helio Castroneves, we're wondering if he just tags Marco just to send the back end of Marco's car around. Look at the contact there. Certainly didn't look like Marco was going to have enough room to get through, but I would say definitely the the Penske car turned around and tagged him in the backside and just spun Marco around.
Let's check in with him, Jamie.
Well, Marco, he walked down here and he says he's okay. And Marco, you've seen it from different angles. What happened?
I think Helio misjudges braking by about a football field. I had a good one going. I was gonna have it woed up and turned, you know, inside of Briscoe, but that's what happens. You know, we try to start so close together. It's great for the fans, but it's no good for me today.
Glad he's all right, guys. He's got a smile on his face, but there's a lot of upset race car drivers down here.
6 cars involved in this incident. 1 is still out there on the lead lap. That's Oriol Servia, but Castroneves, Conway, Briscoe, Dixon 1 lap down right now. And of course, Marco is definitely out of this race. Now the driver, the leader, gets to pick the right or left side for the restart. You can see that Will Power has decided to go on the inside, as everyone expected. And he must be the first to cross the finish line. And as he slows down, they wait for the flag. Here we go, we're back green.
more caution, a little bit more respect on that time through.
Made it through turn 3 this time. And you can see right there, Dario Franchitti, Will Power has slid back. He is into the 3rd position. And he's under attack from the 28 of Ryan Hunter-Reay. Our race leader is Dario Franchitti. That's Tony Kanaan in 2nd as Kanaan got a good run through that sequence of corners. Oh, and more damage. I just saw that car at the very tail end. Was that Graham Rahal's car?
Like had contact from the back because the rear wing was laying down. It was being held on by the SWEMS device. So that's a cable that's on the back of the car that will not allow any of the parts to dislodge, including the rear wing. So he'll try to work his way into pit lane. They'll exchange that, and hopefully he'll be off.
So our 2008 winner has problems here early in the race. And as we begin lap number 6 of 100, it is Dario Franchitti, Tony Kanaan, then Will Power, Ryan Hunter-Reay, and Alex Tagliani, your top 5.
And for Franchitti, remember, he had that problem earlier this weekend where he ended up hitting the wall and going in and taking the side of the car off. They did the repairs. He qualified his primary car. He's now leading the race. What he's going to try to accomplish here is just hit all his marks, all his points, and be smooth. He knows he's got a fierce competitor behind him right now, Tony Kanaan, who's aboard the new Geico machine with a new team.
Damage on Danica Patrick's car. Now maybe this is a connection between her and Graham Rahal's situation. Let's take a look to see.
Coming into turn 4. Oh, a lot of bumper cars going on. Graham Rahal just on the outside, got taken out with that. Her wings are still fine. No contact yet so far for her. But that is where Graham Rahal had contact.
We're going full course caution right now. Still don't know exactly what happened to Danica, though.
But very smart thing that she did. She decided herself, or the team told her to stay out because they maybe would have a yellow come along, and now it will. She will not lose a lap.
EJ Viso, we talked about the fact he's already had 3 cars into the wall, 2 through mechanical failure, but now he has spun it out again, and is that looks to be that turn 13 area? We'll wait to see if he can get refired. Meanwhile, Ryan Briscoe is in pit lane. Jamie Little's caught up.
That's right, Marty. He was fastest in this morning's warm-up. Big disappointment. Obviously, he was involved in that first corner pile-up. They're working on the left front suspension. He's been sitting on pit road for a few minutes now, so they're not sure if they're going to be able to continue, but the team is working to get the number 6 back on track.
And the reason for that is just to be able to get back out and collect points towards the championship. And spoke to a lot of the team managers here in the mechanics this weekend. And with the new rules as they are, they want to make sure that they can go ahead and repair the cars. Because when I say the rules, we're talking about the restarts being double file. Obviously, we had a problem on the start itself. But the restarts themselves, they expect to maybe have to change wings and tie rods. And that's what they're doing right there on Ryan Briscoe's car to help to straighten the steering out. And they are prepared for it. They will have 1 spare out in pit lane, Marty, and then they do have more spares built back in their trailers back in the garage area.
And you saw that was EJ Viso's car in turn 13, where he is getting an assist to get restarted. Let's get an update on Graham Rahal's situation, Vince.
Well, significant damage in the rear wing. Take a look and you can see all the cosmetic damage done to the wing. They have replaced it, and as we walk out toward the pit lane, you can see that they're replacing the rear wing. But the good news is there was no significant rear suspension damage. So that would have been something that could have sidelined Rahal for the remainder of the race. They can at least replace the rear wing, but no rear suspension damage, key for Graham Rahal, although obviously certainly not the way he wanted to get this event started.
Yeah, he's 2 laps down and still on pit lane. Let's go back a little bit further and to the beginning of the race. We've caught up with Mike Conway and Rick DeBrule. You've got him.
Yeah, very frustrated, as you can imagine. At one point they thought they might be able to repair the car, but they weren't able to do that. And I have to ask you, I mean, you had the potential for a potential victory here. You seem so enthused coming into this. How frustrating is this moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing because, you know, first corner incidents, no fault of my own. So I don't really know what happened. I've not seen the replay properly yet, but yeah, someone's fault. So a shame. Took me out, Dixon, a couple of others. Marco, my teammate Marco's out as well. And yeah, it's just silly, really. First lap of the race, there's no need for that.
Did you have a strategy for those double foul restarts? Had anybody talked about maybe taking it easy, and obviously once the race started, it went away?
Well, I mean, we used the double foul restarts to start the race, so that's nothing new, you know. So to do it again on the restarts, I don't see such a problem. But I don't know. If we can't get the first one right, then we're surely not going to get the second one right. So I don't know.
All right, Mike Conway, very frustrated. Marty?
Well, in the background, you saw Graham Rahal's car coming back out onto the track. We've run 7 of 100 laps, and we've been in the middle of our second caution. Stay with us. Just about ready to go back to green flag racing. Our race leaders, Dario Franchitti, Tony Kanaan, Will Power, Ryan Hunter-Reay, Alex Tagliani, Justin Wilson. That is your top 6. And it looks like we're going to go one more time around. So it'll be, we might be going back to green this time, but not the case. Still some cleanup to do.
And Marty, with all these yellows now, a lot of teams are trying to anticipate this race at the beginning about making it on 2 stops, but they had to get lap 33 or 34 to be able to do that under green flag conditions. With the yellow cautions that we've had now, fuel mileage will not be a problem to be able to stretch it out a little bit. This will now be a 2-stop race for all these teams.
There's Danica Patrick back out after the damage to the nose of her car. And Vince, do we know what actually happened to her?
Her team believes that she was trying to get underneath Anna Beatrice and made contact there. They did replace the front nose assembly. No suspension damage. Here was the communication from Danica on her radio.
Obviously, we had a little glitch in the radio, but Danica now back out there with a new wing, as we'll be going green this time by. She is on the blacks. We can tell you most of the teams are still on the alternate reds, which are the softer compound.
Here we go into turn 1 from 6th gear down to 2nd from 155, 60 miles an hour into turn 1 at about 55 or 60, and just not enough room for her to get through there, and ends up catching the wing. Very fragile, those wings. Those tires seem to pick them up and slip them very quickly.
And a tip of the hat to the crew in the tape room, because they're looking literally at dozens of cameras trying to pick out which one has the incident. And here comes the pace car back onto pit lane. They'll form up in the double file restart. We'll try it again.
Watch Tony Kanaan on the right-hand side board the KV Geico car.
Green, green, green.
4 wide, down into 1.
Marty, I know it's more pressures as we see Tony Kanaan now starting to have a look on the inside of Dario Franchitti. Couldn't get it completed. But I think this is what these new style restarts do for us. It keeps the pack closer together, allows the drivers to have a shot at passing at the car at front. The old style system where drivers used to get on the gas back in turns 11 and 12 and spread out a lead, and it was a single file, as we now see Oriol Servia, who looks like he has a flat left rear tire, off into the runoff area.
And that's down at turn number 4, as you can see, or I should say turn number 8, as you can see on the map. He'll make his way back around to try and get another tire on there and get back out to the competition. So that's his second incident.
But going back to the restarts, I'm already a fan of them. I know the drivers that are out there singing the seats are probably not, but it's brought excitement.
Ryan Briscoe back out, but looks like he may have some more damage. Look at the nose, and there's a piece right in the middle of the racetrack, and we're going to have another full course caution. And he is coming back in to pit road. So this has turned into a very eventful day for the driver of the number 6 already.
Well, we also have to remember it's the first race of the season. We're in close confines here at the streets of St. Petersburg, but all these drivers will go back and look at this race and know that they could have done a much better job without having the contact with each other. Quick release nose, they'll pull that nose off, replace it with the new one. The new one is already reset at the proper wing angles for that particular driver. Oh, just running out of road. He's already lost the wing, so he's actually on the outside. So we can see aboard his IZOB machine right now, right along with Ryan Briscoe. Some great running on the outside, and there's the information we needed. That's why the flat tire with Oriol Servia's car just caught the wing on the tire.
So again, the tape shows exactly what happened to both Oriol and to the number 6 of Ryan Briscoe. Top of your screen, you'll see which combination the tire that the individual driver is on. The red alternates the softer compound, but they give up a little bit quicker than the primary black compound tires. Under our third caution gives us time to talk about our NBA destination, because your NBA destination is ESPN. And tomorrow night, the playoff push continues with a doubleheader. First at 8 Eastern, LaMarcus Aldridge and the Trailblazers take on Kevin Durant and the Thunder. Then at 10:30 Eastern, it's Dirk Nowitzki and the Dallas Mavericks facing Steve Nash and the Suns. The NBA on ESPN tomorrow, and both games are available online at ESPN3.com and on your phone. Still under our third caution of the day so far. Dario Franchitti has been one of 2 leaders. He's led 8 laps. Will Power led the first 4. We have 1 car officially out of the race, that being Marco Andretti. But as we heard, it's maybe only a matter of time between what happens with Mike Conway's car, because they didn't know if they could get that one back as well. But several other cars, Scott Dixon back out there, 4 laps down. Graham Rahal 4 laps down. They're running 18th, 19th. Ryan Briscoe is in 20th right now, 5 laps down. All right, Danica is talking on the radio about the double foul restarts. Let's listen in.
Man, those freaking restarts are ridiculous. They go so fast, and then they bunch up so slow.
Yeah, it looks crazy.
And I can assure you that all the team owners right now are relating the information to their drivers, saying, you know something, let's just make sure we get through turn 1 on the restart. We got a long ways to go. We're just 13, 14 laps into this event. Let's use our heads. Let's be smart. Shorten up the braking zones. Give a little bit more room to the cars around you, and then just start taking care of the cars in the turns ahead. Outbrake them, get past them, outsmart them. But right now, we got to get through turn 1.
Forming up again for the restart, it will be choosing the inside, race leader Dario Franchitti. Behind him, Tony Kanaan, or alongside, I should say. Then Will Power, Ryan Hunter-Reay, Justin Wilson. Simona Di Silvestro has moved up to the 6th position. Alex Tagliani in 7th. And there you can see a great view from
Now, Tony was a little bit slow on the gas that time, and it just might cause a problem there.
The 34 goes around. That is Sebastian Saavedra. He's already in a backup car after having hard contact yesterday in qualifying.
I'm out. I need
Now the car was still running, and he tried to get it going, but let the clutch out too fast and stalled it.
Just telling you to restart.
No full course caution. It's just a local yellow right now, and Dario Franchitti takes advantage of the situation to jump out to a sizable lead, the biggest we've seen early in the race. Now the full course caution comes out, and did you notice who has worked her way up to 2nd position? The 78 of Simona Di Silvestro. So a lot of other guys may not like the double foul restart, but Simona's using it to her advantage.
Well, interesting story with Simona, because her longtime engineer that she used last year, Michael Cannon, she thought she was going to use him this season, and when Tony Kanaan went over to KV Racing, Michael left and changed teams on Monday. So she had to start here in this weekend with a new engineer, Brent Harvey, who has years of experience and a top-rate engineer. She said, like him, he does a great job, but we're learning to communicate with each other. We will get stronger as the year goes on.
Let's go back and show you again this restart, why we're under this 4th caution.
Well, as drivers always do, they are told in the driver's meeting, as we see going into turn 1 right now, a lot of people trying to make room on the inside. I mean, this is not science, guys. This never works. We've seen it happen at many tracks, whether it's Edmonton or the old Cleveland Airport circuit that we used to run on. The driver up in front is going to go towards the inside, towards the apex. There will not be room for you when you get there.
Well, we'll give you one more view from J.R. Hildebrand as we get ready to head to commercial break. We'll be back with more after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Back here at the streets of St. Petersburg, where we're under our 4th caution, we can tell you that Elio Castroneves is back out on track, and we are getting ready to go back to green flag racing, as again we'll go to the double foul restart. A quick update, we can tell you Danica is running 12th. 6-car crash back on lap number 1 at the very start. We've already had 4 cautions in the first 13 laps. Cars begin to form up. They come to the start line, and green flag flies again. It is Franchitti, Di Silvestro, Wilson. That's your top 3. Tony Kanaan on the outside there, going around Justin Wilson. Vitor Mira getting into the mix with the 14 and making a move on Will Power. So Power, who was dominant all day yesterday and even back to Friday, is finding himself under attack early and often.
But makes the move on Vitor Mira, gets past him, Marty, going down to turn 4. A lot of drivers I spoke to said that Will Power is so fast going into 4 through 9. If he gets out front, they just can't keep up with him. I am surprised that he is back where he is right now. Maybe he's just waiting for the car to come into the track to rubber in for him.
And we should send our get well wishes to AJ Foyt. He had a stent put in a procedure on Friday, had 95% blockage. And there is a pass right there as his car is being passed.
Alex Tagliani does a nice move, getting on the inside of Vitor Mira.
We already told you that Helio Castroneves is back out on track. He is 14 laps down right now in 22nd position. Back here at the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, we have had a caution-filled event so far. 4 cautions for a total of 9 laps. We're working lap 18 of 100. Our race leader is Dario Franchitti. Second place is Simona Di Silvestro. Tony Kanaan is 3rd. Justin Wilson 4th. Will Power, our pole sitter, running in the 5th position. 1 car officially listed out of the race. That is Marco Andretti, but a couple of others are questionable, including Mike Conway's, although they are working on it. He did not sound enthused about his chances of getting back.
Well, he didn't, and his teammate Marco Andretti, some unfortunate luck, made somewhat of a good move going down the inside of turn 1 on the initial start. Got tagged from behind from Helio Castroneves in the guide point machine. So for him, some frustration. I'm sure he'll have some words with Helio, but not the way you want to start the first race of the championship season.
Well, if you want more bad news for the camp, the Andretti Autosport, just check in with Rick DeBrule.
Yeah, we're down here with Ryan Hunter-Reay. They are continuing to work on the car, but they got a problem on the right front. What happened, Ryan?
Well, racing with Dario, Will, and Tony was fine. It was all the other guys behind us that just came down, not using their head. Just cleared us out from behind, bent the suspension. So these restarts, they're all great on ovals when you have like NASCAR running really slow cars that are slow to move, slow to accelerate. You get all these cars that can go from 100 miles an hour down to 30 like that, you're gonna have big problems. So it's ridiculous. I mean, you run a good race, you're running 3rd, 4th, and you gotta go put yourself on the outside with a bunch of just
other drivers.
Yeah, bleep.
A very frustrated Ryan Hunter-Reay, as you can imagine. He was running very well, had frustrated in qualifying, was making up for it, and now he's potentially going to come back, but it's going to be a while.
So let's see, Danica had wing damage. You already know about what happened to Mike Conway and Marco Andretti. So here's the 4th car. It's not been a good day for Andretti Autosport at all.
I'm taking that Ryan's not a fan of the double restart. I'm not sure about you, but
I think so. And remember, it was Andretti Autosport that the only time in series history finished on the podium and +1. They ran 1 through 4 back in 2005, the only time it's ever happened. And right now, they're down to basically 1 car on the track, and there she is.
And that was won by St. Petersburg resident Dan Weldon, who just announced here recently that he'll be running the Indianapolis 500 with Herta Motorsport come this May.
Speaking of Danica, check in. You can see right there that she is in the 9th position, and that's James Jakes right in front of her. Jakes taking advantage of all the restarts to work his way up through the field as his rookie ride. There he is in the backup car. So far, that car doing well. The 5 there you saw of Takumo Sato. He is running in the 10th position.
Shot right there going by the National Guard machine of J.R. Hildebrand. Remember, he started at the very back of the pack. He did not have a very good day on Friday. Didn't even have a very good test at Barber Motorsport Park a couple of weeks ago. Did not get through the first day. Ended up crashing the car. They went home early. Did not participate in the second day. Went back to Barber later that next week. But he has been really pushing this car, driving it very hard. He comes out of the Indy Lights series. He almost been driving it like an Indy Lights car. It seems like he's got a better handle on it today than he did the first couple of days. Talented, aggressive, just needs to learn a little bit of patience.
Well, you heard Ryan Hunter-Reay talk about NASCAR and the fact that the double foul restarts worked real well there. Of course, that young lady has had experience with it 4 times already this year. She talked about the experience of crossing over from IndyCar to NASCAR.
Everybody kind of looks at this going back and forth as this big deal or challenge. I mean, challenge or something, but honestly, it's like riding a bicycle. You know, you drive one car, you drive another, you know, you're familiar, you understand. There's so much different that it's not like I forget the technique for one or the other.
But both sides, I mean, I get to see both sides, and everybody that drives on a regular basis says, yeah, you won't forget, but practice makes perfect.
And to be at the very top of the level of the classification that you're driving in, you need to be doing it each and every day. It needs to be an extension of your body. It doesn't matter if you're driving go-karts, a Formula Junior car, or a stock car. As we have the Firestone telemetry now, you'll see exactly the speed that she carries and going up through, how much throttle she has in the braking. But I will tell you, Marty, that after all those years of driving Indy cars like I did, got an invitation to go drive the IROC series. The first time I got into the IROC car at Daytona to go off and do a test, it is a different world. It's like somebody blindfolds you, puts you on an airplane, takes you maybe somewhere in Europe and lets you step off the plane, takes your blindfold off. I understand what she's saying. I don't agree with it. I saw this with Sam Hornish, and I think that his ability on the Indy car diminished the year that he did both. And I don't think that you can go and be the fastest in the fastest group by doing both in the same year. Will you be good? Probably. Will you be able to run up there? Yes. Are you going to be the person that's sitting on pole and setting records? I don't see it.
Just keep being smart out there. You're winning by just being smart.
Copy, thanks.
Interesting comment from the team. You're winning by just being smart, because basically they're right. There's been a lot of guys that haven't been very smart.
Well, it's attrition, and it goes back to a point I made a while ago. I'm sure they're telling you on the restarts right now, keep it clean, shorten up your braking point, give yourself some more room to the other driver that's around you. Remember, these guys have not raced, guys and girls have not raced since the tail end of last year back in October, so it's been some time off. Yes, you've had some testing. Yes, you can get back into the rhythm, but to be able to drive the car in anger, it's very different than it is going out and testing.
Vince, you've got more?
You know, they were very disappointed with their qualifying. She qualified 19th for the race today, and they felt like they were a car that should have been closer to the top 10. And George Klotz, her strategist, told me before the race, I'm not sure how we're going to gain all those positions. We're going to have to do something from a strategy perspective. Well, attrition has helped her pick up 9 spots, currently sitting in the 9th spot. And her crew chief, Dave Sharpley, and company did a great job of getting that front nose assembly changed when they had to, get her back out without losing a lap. So far, so good for Danica Patrick.
Well, we can tell you there are 15 cars still on the lead lap. Vitor Mira, he just had a pit stop a few laps ago, and he is the last car on that lead lap. 1 lap down in 16th is Sebastian Saavedra. 17th is Scott Dixon. He and Graham Rahal running in 18th are 4 laps down. There's your race leader, Dario Franchitti, one of 2 leaders we've had today. He's led 19 of the 23 that we've completed here at the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Looking down from high above here in the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida, the season opening event for the IZOD IndyCar Series. And there's your race leader, Dario Franchitti, by 2.2 seconds over Simona Di Silvestro. 3rd is Tony Kanaan. Justin Wilson is 4th. And then rounding out the top 5 is Will Power. And you noticed something when we went to the onboard shot on Will Power's car.
If you can look there just in front of the rear wheel, you will see it's called the side pod extension. It is starting to flap in the breeze. So he's either had some contact with something or it's come loose. Probably not going to cause any difference in the handling for him, but he certainly hopes that that piece won't get dislodged and hit the tire and end up puncturing the tire.
Well, while he continues in 4th, let's go back up front, get an update from pit lane on what's happening with the people running in the front spots. Dario Franchitti, Jamie Little.
Well, it's been smooth sailing for Dario Franchitti so far today, but that wasn't the case yesterday in practice. Dario took total blame and said he just made a mistake when he clipped one of the walls, and he had so much damage on the car, they took it back. They had to replace the front and rear suspension on the right side and replace the rear wing. But today, the car is all put back together, and it has been a rocket ship.
Running in 2nd place is Simona Di Silvestro. She started 17th. She was the Indianapolis 500 Rookie of the Year a season ago, running for a single car team in HVM. And Marty and Scott already documented how they were kind of left standing at the altar at the beginning of the season when Michael Cannon left the team a week before the season. She told me earlier this week she was disappointed at that, and she felt like it would set them back. But she has a vibrant personality, very confident. They worked all weekend to make this car better, and right now Simona Di Silvestro sits 2nd. Rick DeBrule.
Well, let's talk about the guy behind her. That's Tony Kanaan, and talk about how the expectations for Tony have changed radically. Remember, they just signed this team together 2 weeks ago. We had a shakedown on Tuesday. They came into this race with the concept of, let's just get some laps on there. Let's just do a good job. And then they started to qualify well. They almost made the Fast Six, and now they're running in third. I think all those expectations have changed. Now they're trying to do the best they can to potentially get a victory, and they have the potential here. Remember, they've got a great driver. They now have an engineer that they know they haven't worked together. They like a lot. It'll be interesting to see how the rest of this race shakes out for Tony Kanaan.
And they're running that famous number 82. Remember when Jimmy Clark drove the Lotus to victory at the Indianapolis 500? He was running at number 82. Just a little bit behind Tony, Justin Wilson in fourth, then Will Power running in fifth. Alex Tagliani has a great run going up into the sixth position. And Rafa Matos, remember he was basically 2 weeks ago just finding out he was going to have a ride. He's in that number 17 running in the seventh position. There he is.
And you talk about Rafa, remember, he was with DeFerrin Motorsports last year, thought that he had a ride, and unfortunately he found out through the press that he had lost his ride to Tony Kanaan when Gilles DeFerrin and group signed him back in December. And unfortunately he said, you know something, it was the same week that I lost my father. It was very tough. The following week in December, I actually ended up finding out my mother had cancer. A very tough December for Rafa Matos.
It's good to see him have a good run here. There's James Jakes. He's doing real well in his rookie debut. He's running eighth, and here's one of the best battles we've got going because Danica Patrick is now under attack from Takuma Sato in the number 5, and then right behind Sato is J.R. Hildebrand in that number 4 National Guard machine. And Sato, of course, from Japan. He was raised in Tokyo, and he has been running a decal on the side with You Japan. You see it right there, and his thoughts, and he's doing a lot of charity work, Vince, on how he's trying to raise money to help especially the kids over in Japan left homeless by the tsunami.
That's right, Marty, carrying that message, as you indicated, with You Japan in support of the campaign to aid victims for the earthquake and tsunami tragedy. It's part of an overall fundraising initiative involving IndyCar drivers. And Sato spoke and thanked all the drivers for their continued support after the drivers' meeting today. Deeply affected and saddened by what's happening over in Japan. Rick DeBrule?
The guy behind Takuma Sato, J.R. Hildebrand, had been having a very frustrating weekend. They just didn't seem to be able to put it all together. As you see the car coming up behind them, they couldn't put it all together. This morning, they decided to go back to last year's settings.
Inside.
There you see the number 9 car, target car going by. They decided to go to last year's settings, and as a result, they jumped up much better during the morning warm-up and during the race. Not only were they able to move up as a result of all the problems, but he's been able to pass people. So it's been a much better feeling today compared to where it was the last 2 days.
And right behind him, you're on board with Charlie Kimball, another one of the rookies, and you saw him try and make the move there on J.R. Hildebrand and then think better of it. But what a great story about Charlie. Not the fact that he has type 1 diabetes, he discovered that mid-season back in 2007, but the fact that he is able to race. And it's an interesting story on how he is able to keep in control of his blood sugar level. And you see that little device, circle it for me, Scott, right there on his steering wheel. That actually monitors his blood sugar. And he knows that if he gets too low, he has a drink on board. He can just take more. And he has been able to finish 4th in the championship for Indy Lights last year, Vince. You've had a lot of time to spend with him. He is very, very fascinating.
Well, as you see him take a look inside there, he takes 5 to 6 insulin injections a day, Marty. And you mentioned and actually circled it there, the device that shows his body data, if you will, along with the car data. But he has a self-implantable device in his body that transfers that data onto that device so he can see that on his steering wheel. Very technical. Novo Nordisk, the global diabetes healthcare company sponsoring his car, they manufacture the insulin and the delivery device that he takes. It's a great initiative and certainly a unique driver here in the IZOD IndyCar Series.
And Vince, I was talking to the team. One thing they're trying to accomplish with the information that he sees with his device is that these cars have real-time telemetry with all the information about the cars sent back to the engineers on their laptop. What they're trying to get accomplished is that the information that's on Charlie's human body log right there in front of him gets sent back via telemetry so they can see it in the pit lane also.
A little bit further back behind Charlie Kimball is Oriol Servia, and here he goes underneath J.R. Hildebrand. So nice pass by Kimball, move him up to the 11th spot. Servia is in pit road. Vince?
Well, Oriol Servia, last time or the time before he had come into pit lane, he had actually stopped in the wrong pit box. They had hoped to have him in once before. He was not able to get the pit stop on that initial occasion, so this time making his way to pit lane, getting the tires and fuel that he needed.
Good job running there, Vince. We could tell you were hustling to get down there, buddy. Servia in 14th spot right now. Vitor Mira, the last car on the lead lap. There is your race leader. Dario Franchitti leads Simona Di Silvestro by 3.6 seconds. And we've completed 33 of the 100 laps. There is your top 5 at the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Pit stops have begun here under green. Vince.
There's Danica Patrick. You see the crew making the changes on her race car. Fuel and tires. She's on the reds. The 7 of Danica Patrick.
She was running in the 12th position. Right side of your screen is the race leader, Dario Franchitti, and Takuma Sato came in right behind her, and he gets out ahead of her. So he picks up a spot courtesy of his pit crew.
And for Danica Patrick, it looked like he also put a front wing in her car, so she's looking for a little bit more front grip. 35 complete. The information going to Dario Franchitti, who's been leading this event aboard his target machine. But Di Silvestro has been amazing. And then Tony Kanaan, new team earlier this week, Marty, not amazing.
And he has got a very close Will Power right behind him in hot pursuit.
Will's car does not look to be planted on the ground like it did the first couple of days. He's going to try and have a look on the inside of Tony Kanaan going into 4, but Tony is just as aggressive as Will Power. Watch Will's hands right now. Before yesterday, very smooth. He's rolling through these turns, carrying the speed all the way through mid-turns. Does not look like he can put his foot on the gas. Now the red tires that he's aboard, you can see the red wall on those tires themselves. They do start to fall off the longer you run them. The car just might be losing overall grip right now. Maybe can't get power down to be able to keep up with Tony, who seems to be stretching away from him at this point.
Everybody in the top 10 right now is on the alternate red. That is a softer compound. Gives you more grip, but it also fades quicker. There's the gap between first and second. Dario Franchitti, his time over Simona Di Silvestro, 4.07 seconds. There is third and fourth, Tony Kanaan and Will Power. Then Justin Wilson coming through in the 5th spot, 9 seconds behind the race leader. We can tell you now officially Ryan Hunter-Reay, Mike Conway, and Marco Andretti are out of this race. And the bad news for Andretti Autosport, that's all 3 of their cars. Only Danica Patrick remains.
Saw Tony lock up the brakes a little bit there going into turn 4 aboard his Geico machine. There again, tires could start to be losing their grip a little bit. Under braking also, it's line dependent. Drivers try to find a spot that's on the course where the car spends more time in contact with the road. With the bumps around here, you look for that as a driver. You try to find the perfect line. Then you have to be able to hit it lap after lap after lap. If you move over 6 inches, it could be enough to put you on a bump and lock the wheels up, which might have been the case there for Tony.
As they come around, looks like Tony Kanaan's going to peel off, and it looks maybe as Simona Di Silvestro also may have pulled off down pit road. There is Simona. Vince.
It's been a terrific run for Di Silvestro so far. They're going to take off the reds and put on the blacks. Simona Di Silvestro started 17th. She is now second.
Kanaan decides to go from reds to reds. At first they had blacks on the wall. They decided to change the
Clear to the wall. Clear to the wall.
Simona does get out ahead of Tony Kanaan, and a little bit farther back you can see Will Power coming on, I think it is.
A 60-mile-an-hour speed limit for going into the pit lane and exiting the pit lane, but the great thing for a driver, you love it when they drop off the jacks. You can put your foot on the throttle, dump the clutch, 650 horsepower, and just spin those wheels.
Let me correct that. That was Alex Tagliani coming out behind him. Tags is listed in the 7th spot. Here comes our race leader, and it looks like he is finally going to peel off here on lap number 37.
Okay, remember the fuel sensor, the clutch, the gearbox here. 10-4.
60 miles an
And when
hour.
you get down here, you got to come around Powers, guy. They're set up. Come around them. Stop at the sign.
Here comes Will Power as well. Let's check in first with Jamie Little. She's got
Come around this guy.
And Dario Franchini's car has been very good. They're just reminding him take care of the gearbox. He's taking the reds off. He's putting the primary blacks on. Will Power in the 12 car. Remember, he had that wheel clip extension that was loose. He's been fighting understeer. The 12 car, Will Power, they want to help that car out a little bit with handling. He too went to blacks. Rick?
Well, Justin Wilson to come in for what was a very routine stop. No adjustments. They simply went ahead and changed the tires, went to blacks as well. Everything went very, very smoothly in that stop.
Interesting to watch on Dario Franchini's car. As you see his target machine go along right now, they took a half a turn of wing out of the front, so that means he had too much front bite, so he wants less of that, and now he'll wait to see how these tires work underneath this run. Will it stay underneath him longer? Will his lap times improve, or will his lap times possibly fall off a little bit? That will help him make a decision whether he runs with the blacks or reds for the final pit stop.
Simona Di Silvestro under attack right now from Tony Kanaan now. And we've got a local yellow in for, oh, the 83 of Charlie Kimball has had contact, and now it is a full course caution. And this looks like it may have happened coming out of 3.
Well, and wonder if he had just left the pit lane possibly on cold tires. We'll have to get a report and see if that might be the case. And since he's got Blackwell tires on, I would assume that possibly
he had just pitted on lap 38.
Yeah. So there's the experience factor coming out on cold tires underneath race conditions when you're driving in anger. And I did notice previously when before we had this yellow that Tony Kanaan was very close to Simona Di Silvestro, and that's because he has more experience of leaving the pit lane on cold tires and taking advantage of what we call the outlap.
There's your race leader, Dario Franchitti. In second place is the rookie James Jakes, but he pitted back on lap 3. All right, let's see what happened here as we go back on board with Charlie Kimball.
Tires are very cold. Yep, just understeering into the wall. Now, when the tires start to warm up, the pressures come up, they build up. You'll end up having the grip back. And he's on the black tires, not the reds. Remember, the reds are softer, so he would have been used to having a little bit more grip, not only from the heat in the tires, but also the softer compound. That is what we call a rookie mistake, and I assure you that he will remember that one for the next event.
Okay, now here's our first opportunity to talk about how the pits, once they open, will remain open. This could be a big benefit to Sebastian Saavedra. He is the one and only car 1 lap down. If he stays out, gets the wave around, he can then come all the way around, come back into the pits, get the tires, fuel, and try and rejoin the group before they will not hold up the start, but he could at least get back on the lead lap.
A little different, as we explained at the opening of the show previously. Once they started to do the wave around, once the leader was behind the pace car, they would then go ahead and close the pits. Now they're leaving it open for the reason you mentioned.
Second place rookie James Jakes, he peels off, comes down pit road, and also it looks like Scott Dixon, who is running in 17th, 4 laps down. Vince?
James Jakes, the rookie, remember his car was so badly damaged they barely made it out to start this race in time. They had to start at the back of the pack. He's been able to make it all the way up into the top 5, and now he stalls the car. He stalls it. They got to get the starter out. Another maybe one of those rookie mistakes, Scott, that we've talked about throughout the course of this day.
Let you know the 4 J.R. Hildebrand. There he goes underneath your screen. There's Anna Beatrice. She has made a pit stop. The 3 of Elio Castroneves. Elio is 15 laps down, shown in 21st position. You also saw Saavedra. It looked like he came down and did not wait for the wave around. If that, we'll verify that when we come back. As there is the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg Top 5. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
ESPN's coverage of the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg on ABC. Brought to you by Honda, the engine supplier for the IZOD IndyCar Series. And IZOD, the official apparel sponsor of the IZOD IndyCar Series.
All right, back here under our 5th caution at St. Petersburg with Dario Franchitti, our race leader, Will Power, Simona Di Silvestro, the top 3. We've got a moment. Let's talk about the motorsports calendar, because the SummitRacing.com NHRA Nationals will qualifying next Saturday at 7 Eastern on ESPN2, and then the final Sunday at 4:30 Eastern, also on ESPN2. Next up for the NASCAR Nationwide Series is at Texas. That's Friday, April 8th. week off next week, 8 o'clock Eastern, ESPN2. And the IndyCars, the Grand Prix of Alabama, Sunday, April 10th, 3 Eastern, with our friends over on Versus. Okay, we mentioned the fact that there might have been the potential for the wave around. Well, of course, the wave around would only work if the leaders all pitted. They did not. So Sebastian Saavedra will not have the opportunity to get back onto the lead lap. He is 15th right now, 1 lap down. Let's take a look at our Firestone lap leaders. We've only had 2 of them, and the dominant one is the guy that's still up front.
And now he's going to have more pressure from behind than he's had all race. And the pole sitter, Will Power. No doubt Dario Franchitti knows how strong Will is. They will take a shot at this, see if he can get down to turn 1 ahead of Will Power. Will Power has been noted as the king of the streets right now. We'll see between these two who can lead lap 1.
Let's check in quickly with Vince Welch.
The restart here, Charlie Kimmel. What happened? You just come in and gotten fresh tires, and then on the out, what happened?
I just overestimated the grip. You know, it's the first time I've done a hot pit stop here in IndyCar, and tires were a lot colder. I had a lot more understeer than I was expecting. I knew I had to push to get in front of Sato and Danica. Knew where I was, sort of looking inside the top 10. You know, for my first 40 laps in an IndyCar, I was happy with how I'd run. I just, you know, made a rookie mistake. I'll learn from it, move forward from here.
Lesson learned. Well done. Marty?
All right, thanks, Vince. And as we get ready to go back to Green Flag Racing, we can tell you Ryan Hunter-Reay, they first listed him as officially out. He is back into the race, 24 laps down, though, in 22nd position. Pace car pulls off. Dario Franchitti selects the inside again. Everybody forms up. They meet the line, and we're back to Green Flag Racing.
That was probably the nicest 2 lines of race cars we've had, whether it's the start or any restarts.
Whoa, little contact there, but everybody checks up in enough time to make it through. And was that Will Power?
Looked like the 22 of Justin Wilson. Looks like he had a problem in the middle of the turn, possibly a mix up in the gearbox or something of that nature. He just lost power and drive for a moment.
There he is, and Danica's got more damage on the wing. Oh, and more contact. James Jakes, who had come in, and he has contact. Anna Beatrice in the 24 also involved. She spins it around to get back on. That is right down in the turn 4 section of the racetrack. Still no full course caution. We're racing, but Danica's got another wing damaged. And again, it's the left front.
Yep, come in if you need. Come in if it doesn't go yellow. Come in if it doesn't go yellow.
That's Scott Dixon going around Danica. Dixon right now in 16th spot, 4 laps down.
Now through the high-speed section where she's going through right there a lot, she's really off the pace. You're going through that at 140 miles an hour if your car is in good shape. But for her, she's going to come in, change that wing out again. We talked about having 1 spare in the pit lane. The rest will be back in the transporter.
She was 12th when this happened. And boy, look at the action up front right now, because Tony Kanaan is all over Will Power.
I mentioned before, Will Power's car just not the same as it was on Friday practice or on Saturday. A lot of drivers thought that if he did not have a problem in the race that he would be gone. Not sure if they made some changes overnight or the track has changed a little bit itself as more cars run throughout the weekend. Remember, this is city streets. It starts to put rubber down. Maybe his car just doesn't perform the same with a lot of rubber on the track versus when it was really just terrible on Friday when it was all dirty and dusty.
Right side of your screen, Danica Patrick gets the new nose put on, and now that local yellow that we saw back on turn number 4, that has been withdrawn. We're back to full Green Flag Racing around this entire 14-turn, 1.8-mile circuit. Let's go back on board with Danica and see what happened this time to create her second incident of nose damage.
Down turn 1. We start getting in through the turn. Oh, that was the situation. Remember we talked about 22, Justin Wilson having a problem, maybe just not having an opportunity to get out of the turn as quickly as usual. That's no fault of her own, but she has her new wing on the front, and she is now going to be in chase mode.
She's 38 seconds behind the race leaders, and she's in 13th position. And look at this 1-2-3 battle. Some great action going on up front with Franchitti in the 10, Power in the 12, Kanaan in the 82.
Interesting on the restart, Franchitti's car comes in really quickly. It takes about a lap or 2 before Will Power's car comes in, and I almost think that Tony Kanaan right now might be the fastest out of the 3.
Rick, you've got an update on Tony Kanaan?
Yeah, he said very little about the car. In fact, the only thing he said about the car so far in terms of how it's working is he said good at one point on the radio. But in talking about the way things have been going with the team this weekend, I mentioned that their expectations were just to try to do well. Now they're trying to compete for the victory. One of the things that Tony Kanaan was saying, with the new engineer, Mike Cannon, Tony kept wanting to make changes. However, Mike kept talking him out of them, and he finally had to go, okay, Mike, you're the engineer, we'll do it your way, and so far it's working.
Well, Tony's never won here, but he's finished second back in 05, and then 3 straight years he finished third, 06, 07, and 08. His worst finish was last year, and it was still a top 10.
You know, when you have the engineers on the team, Marty, and top engineers like Mike Cannon, sometimes you need to be a driver. Sometimes you need to come in and report what the car is doing, whether it's understeering, oversteering, divide the turn up into phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Tell the engineer what it does in all 3 phases of the turn. Be very descriptive. Certainly you can add in whether you think the shocks need adjusting on bump or rebound, what you might think was springs. But sometimes you just need to tell the information to the engineer, let him go in there and look at all the data that they collect, and then he comes out with what he feels would be an improvement on the car. Sometimes it's best to put yourself into the car, put the belts on, put your helmet on, and drive.
And Franchitti is starting to open up a little bit of ground over second place Will Power as they come down the front straightaway. Behind those 3, it's Di Silvestro in 4th, Alex Tagliani 5th, and Rafa Matos in 6th. All right, let's take a lap around this 1.8-mile circuit, the IZOD Speed Zone.
Good, split 1. Is there anywhere else I can help you?
Coming through turn 9 there as you're on board with Will Power.
This is through the kink area, 4th up through 5th gear, up to 150 miles an hour down the section, back down to 2nd gear. This is the area that's caused a lot of problems for a lot of drivers. This fast right left hand, 140 miles an hour taken in 5th gear, hard on the brakes. Difficult there because the car is still really under anger. It's really twisted up as you're trying to come off. Going into 13, you have to make sure before you apply the brakes that the car is straight.
You know, we were talking about the red and black combination. Of the top 10, only Tony Kanaan and J.R. Hildebrand in 10th are running the alternate softer compound reds. Everybody else in black.
And you know, we talked about the softer tires, the red sidewall. Those tires, as we mentioned, do have more grip. They will give you a lot more speed around the race course, but they do have the possibility of falling off. And what we say that we're talking about the car starting to lose its grip. You might get 30 to 34 laps under fuel here. Well, a lot of drivers last year complained that the tires were starting to fall off after 26 to 28 laps and dramatically fall off in speed. And so now a lot of people that are running these black standard sidewall tires, maybe a little less speed, but they will look to see if the tires will stay underneath them for the full fuel run.
Firestone telemetry, as you can see, working up through the gears, and oh man, you go so close to that wall. And as we pointed out, 2 of the best have hit that wall in turn 11, Dario Franchitti and Sebastian Bourdais.
Now, Marty, I say this to you, but it's fun for a driver to go and challenge the wall every time you go through there. It becomes really just an exercise of trying to make yourself perfect. And again, as we watch the Firestone telemetry, back down to about 60 miles an hour usually, back on the gas. Watch how quickly the speeds go up here. Usually full on the throttle. Now, Will Power the other day was flat from turn 1 all the way through turn 4. This tells me now that he's feathering the throttle in places. He's not having the ability to put the power down on the car.
Challenge the wall. Sounds like it's come from a guy who's hit it too many times.
That is true.
Hey, Wednesday, April 13th, catch the series premiere of ABC's Happy Endings. When life throws you a curve, hold on tight to the people you love. It's a special premiere of ABC's Happy Endings, Wednesday, April 13th at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. It's after Modern Family. Let's get an update on Will Power running in second place. Jamie Little.
Well, his team telling him right now, save fuel for us, but don't lose sight of Dario. Scott Goodyear, as a former driver yourself, how difficult is that?
Well, that's sometimes when you want to turn the radio off, Jamie. Unfortunately, they put the radio out of reach of the drivers inside the cockpit. So you understand the instructions and saving fuel. You can do that by turning back the knob on the steering wheel from being standard full fuel and leaning it out. Now, there's another way to do it, and that's up to the drivers. And some drivers like Dario Franchitti are just masters of that, and that's squeezing the throttle, coming out of the turns, rolling into the turns, letting the car carry speed through the turns without using the brake too much, and just trying to keep the car up to speed through the turns. Some guys are very good at it. Will Power's another one. But it's very difficult when somebody tells you on the radio, hey, let's just slow up just a little bit.
Well, we just passed halfway as 50 down, 50 to go here at the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg with Dario Franchitti. He's led 46 of those 50 laps. Back here at the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, you're looking at race leader Dario Franchitti. His lead over Will Power is 1 second. There goes Will in the 12. Right behind him is third place Tony Kanaan, who is 1.6 seconds behind. There you see him in the Geico 82. Now we drop back a little bit further because Simona Di Silvestro has fallen back about 3 seconds behind Tony. She is running in that 4th position. Still a great run for her here at her 2nd time at St. Petersburg. And as we get ready to go up to speed, let's check in on 5th place, which is Alex Tagliani and Rick DeBrule.
And Alex Tagliani telling the team the car's a little loose, but so far he doesn't want to make any changes. The big change for him, though, this season is that he's now an employee. Sam Schmidt Motorsports bought the team. As a result, he stepped away from the owner's role. He says he likes being a driver. It's just having to concentrate on that and not all the other stuff. Remember, last year he finished 6th. So far, he's 1 spot better. Vince?
Well, and Scott documented earlier the situation with Rafa Matos, how he found out he lost his ride with the Farron on the same day that his father passed. This season has special meaning for Rafa Matos, and it also has special meaning because he's reunited with Gary Peterson, the car owner. He won the Indy Lights title with Peterson in 2008, and they are very excited about their race car so far here in the early going. Remember, he did not test. The first time he was in this car was on Friday when practice got underway. And Takuma Sato had such a learning experience of a season a year ago in his first season in the IZOD IndyCar Series. He says, I expect it to be much better in 2011. We're certainly seeing that here in the early going of this race at St. Petersburg. He's benefited from Tony Kanaan's presence in just 1 week with Kanaan with the team. Rick?
Justin Wilson right behind him. The big news for Justin Wilson is for the first time, he's going into a team for the 2nd year with no changes. Same team, same staff, same Larry Curry up on the wall calling the shots. He says it's been a massive comfort zone coming into this race, knowing he wasn't have to reinvent everything. He's done well this weekend. He's been nibbling away. Remember, he had a good finish in 2nd last year. The question is, can he try to squeeze up? He's got a few more positions to go, but again, they're very comfortable. Vince?
Running in 9th is the 02 of Oriol Servia, running for Newman Haas. Their worst session the entire weekend was qualifying. That's why they started 15th. Got the Telemundo sponsorship announced today or earlier in the weekend. He says securing a ride with this team allowed him to breathe easier. He had not raced in the IZOD IndyCar Series since Japan of 2009. That also was with Newman Haas. He had a top 5 finish that day, and they believe they can be a top 10 team every time out. Rick?
Let's talk about J.R. Hildebrand. He signed with Panther back in December. John Barnes watched him during the course of the season. Remember, he did 2 IndyCar races. Felt he was a gutsy driver, but they wanted to have a test at Phoenix International Raceway first. They did that, and by noon, they decided he was their man. Just from what they saw on the track that morning, they knew he was the gutsy driver that they were looking for. As a result, he's in the car. He's had 6 solid tests, and now he so far seems to be having a good, solid run today. Right behind him is Vitor Mira in A.J. Foyt's car, and the thing missing today is A.J. Foyt. A.J. Foyt, they discovered he had one of his arteries 95% blocked. The good news is they were able to fix it by putting a stent in without having to do a full bypass. But as a result, he's not here. Larry Foyt is here calling the shots. Vitor Mira having a bit of a frustrating day, but considering how it could have been for A.J. Foyt, it's not bad. Vince?
Danica Patrick running 12th, and certainly has been an adventurous day for her. They've changed the front nose assembly on that car twice today. And we've also talked about her transition from NASCAR to IndyCar this season. She's also making an engineering transition as well, because Eddie Jones, her engineer the past couple of years, has switched over to Marco Andretti, and Danica is working with Tino Belli as her engineer this season. Anna Beatrice running 13th for Brian Reinbold. She drove 4 races with DNR last year, and her goal today, improve, improve, improve. Every session they have gotten better. They were most concerned with getting her to as many laps as she could this weekend, and that includes today. The 22 of Justin Wilson just leaving pit road, Marty.
And that's a little early for this team to be coming on pit road, but we'll try and get an update on it. Had a tire going down, we're just being told from race officials. So he goes back to the alternate reds, so he will get back out on track. He's still on the lead lap. You know, you were mentioning Anna Beatrice. She turned 30 back on March 18th. Danica Patrick had a birthday on Friday, turning 29, and we should tip happy birthday to Vitor Mira. He is 34 today. There is your race leader, Dario Franchitti. He doesn't have a birthday today, but he might be eating the cake at the end of this one. He's 1.7 seconds ahead of Will Power and Tony Kanaan. There they are in second and third here at the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. ESPN, your NBA destination, and tomorrow night the playoff push continues. We've got a doubleheader. First at 8 Eastern, it's the Trailblazers taking on the Thunder. Then at 10:30 Eastern, Mavericks face the Suns. It's the NBA on ESPN tomorrow, and both games available online at ESPN3.com and also on your phone. We've knocked down 58 of 100 laps here at St. Petersburg, this 1.8-mile street course. Our race leader on the right-hand side of your screen, streaking away, is Dario Franchitti, 1.7 seconds ahead of Will Power and Tony Kanaan. And there he is going around Anna Beatrice, a little slower traffic. Anna was the last car on the lead lap in 13th spot. She is now 1 lap down, along with Sebastian Saavedra, who's 14th, James Jakes in 15th.
And Marty, probably one more pit stop for most of these drivers, including our leader right now, Dario Franchitti. Now, he started off with the red alternate tires. He has now since gone to black. That means he gets to choose whether he wants to use red or black for the next segment. I have noticed that Simona Di Silvestro seems like she's fallen off the pace when she went from red to the blacks. She also has the option, because she's now used one of each. Maybe she'll become quicker. But the most important part is the guy right now that is running third, Tony Kanaan. He's used reds for both segments. He does have to use blacks. Maybe he might lose speed in the last portion.
Well, did you see how much ground Dario was able to pick up? Because there is James Jakes. He is giving way. He's 2 laps down now, but Anna Beatrice and James slowed up second and third, Will Power and Tony Kanaan. And there you see the top 5 on the lower left side of your screen.
And Tony's going to have a look on the inside. He knows that pit stops are coming up soon. He knows he wants to get past Will Power ahead of him.
They're coming through the corner, the kink. Franchitti took big advantage. He's now opened that lead up to 2.1 seconds over these two guys. And they've got to try and reel him in just quickly. That one section you were talking about, it's such a precise area to get through. And Franchitti got through the lap traffic before the other two.
And so important. And that would be calculated by him, because he would know that if I can get past a couple of cars going through that segment we spoke about at the opening of the show, 4 through 9, impossible to pass through that section. He just gained himself some time. He also, what's important with that is that if there is a bit of a mishap in his pit stop, hopefully it's enough time for him to be able to get back out. You read to pad your lead if you can. That's why he's pushing so hard right now.
Jamie, what are you hearing down in pit lane?
Well, I'll tell you what, when you look at Dario Franchitti's record here at St. Pete, he is having a great day. Before this race, he had only led 18 laps here and has never won. Today, he's led all but 4 laps. And Scott, you were talking about the strategy and what to do on this last and final pit stop of the day, what tires to take. Well, these guys don't like to show their hand, but Dario Franchitti's crew, they have a set of red sticker tires on the wall. As far as Will Power, who's behind him, no tires yet.
Interesting fact, and I think they'll have to make a decision shortly. Pit stop should be up in about 10 laps or so. But what Franchitti wants, clear sailing, no yellows, because he doesn't want these guys to pack up behind him. For the second car in the field right now, Will Power, and behind him, Tony Kanaan. If they have a yellow and a restart, it's an opportunity to be able to take a run at Dario Franchitti.
Dario's best finish here, third, finished fifth here last year. Now let's check in on Simona Di Silvestro. There she is in fourth. Vince?
Maybe one of the most impressive performances of the day. Di Silvestro started 17th, getting plenty of support from the pit box.
Hey, great job. TK in front of you is on red, so that's key information. How's the balance? Pretty good. Keep those strong laps coming. Doing awesome.
You heard the encouragement there, and also encouraging her to use the push to pass, even if it's got to be a defensive maneuver. You see on her own right now, but she was in lap traffic just a little bit ago. Use that push to pass to get by.
Well, her career best finish was at Mid-Ohio last year when she came home in 8th place. But remember, she led those laps back at Sao Paulo last season.
Very impressive run. Everybody knew that she was really a great driver when she did that last year, a hometown race. Remember, this is a punishing racetrack. It's really not, it's unforgiving. We talked about that before. We've seen drivers over the last couple of days make mistakes on their own, even great champions like Dario Franchitti. It's 85 degrees here today. The humidity's up a little bit. It's very punishing inside that cockpit. The true tale will be here for all these drivers, those last 10 or 15 laps when the sweat's dripping in your eye, your hands are sore from turning the wheel, trying to hang on to the steering wheel, being bounced around over here. Will you be able to get to the end? It's a punishing event.
Speaking about getting to the end, we're running lap number 64 of 100. As we mentioned, we expect to have pit stops around lap 71, and that will affect strategy. We'll talk about it when we come back after this message and a word from our ABC station. Let's check the motorsports calendar for you because the SummitRacing.com NHRA Nationals with qualifying Saturday at 7 Eastern and the finals next Sunday at 4:30 Eastern, both those on ESPN2. And then our NASCAR Nationwide Series telecast from Texas will be Friday, April 8th. We're off next week. It's 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. And the Indy Grand Prix of Alabama will be that Sunday, April 10th, 3 o'clock Eastern, over on Versus. You're riding on board. That is Will Power. He is in second place, 4.6 seconds behind race leader Dario Franchitti. Right behind him is Tony Kanaan.
Back end steps out just a little bit as he puts his foot on the gas, a little bit oversteer. Fun, but maybe not the fastest.
34 laps to go. We're hearing Simona Di Silvestro in fourth will pit in about 2 laps. That'll still be enough to get her home on that load of fuel.
Well, you know something, I like that strategy because maybe they're thinking they get her in the pit lane without it being very busy. She gets an opportunity to practice more stops with an IndyCar, and then she does it a couple of laps sooner than everybody else. Maybe she puts the reds back on and she gets out there and gets to get settled instead of being around a busy pit lane. I like the thinking if that's what they're looking at.
Well, especially if she does get in, get out, and then a quick caution were to come out, she cycles right through to the head of the field. While all this goes on, continue to watch this battle. It's the best one we have on track. We have now a total.
Good on fuel, okay to push. Good on fuel, okay to push.
You heard the go sign.
Okay, so that means they can get to the specified lap with the fuel on board that they want. Watch Tony start to push that car just a little bit more. It's going to take a lot to be able to unsettle Will Power because he really is the road course master, but he'd just be gauging exactly in his mirrors where Tony is strong and where he might be a little stronger. Now, possibly, Will Power might have got the same information.
Oriol Servia is in from 9th place. Vince.
Putting on the primary black tires, 4 tires, filling it up full of fuel. The new fueling system, the car has to go in neutral while the probe is in. They're having trouble getting the air jack connection loose. So it costs a little time to Oriol Servia.
And Vince, you mentioned that fuel probe that Honda has developed. What that does is that if the driver comes into the pit box and he has not got the car in neutral, when they stick the fuel probe in there, there's a sensor that then electronically places the car in neutral. So the wheels will not turn when the crew is trying to change the rear wheels. And then the other side of it also, if the car tries to be put into first gear when the car still has the fuel probe in, it will not allow it until the fuel probe is removed. Remember, we've had drivers leave the pit box before with the fuel probe still in because they're in a hurry to leave. Well, this new system by Honda will stop that, and then the driver then can select first gear and leave safely.
You heard on the radio, 14 push to pass. We haven't talked about it during the race because, quite honestly, through the early go of the race, nobody has really been leaning on that button.
Hold your brake.
We're going to see that.
Watch Brett. Watch Brett.
And Takuma Sato's in as well as Rafa Matos. Vince?
Good job, Vince. Go, 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 go.
Well, we'll bring it back out onto the track because here comes Tony Kanaan. He's putting the pressure on. He got the go signal and he's going.
He is going, but talk about pressure, just watching those pit stops. The pressure is on the crew also because they do not want to make a mistake. The pressure's on the drivers all the way around the circuit. The crew, they train throughout the wintertime. They do not want to make a mistake. The pressure's on them to have 8 seconds of perfection for the fuel and also the tires. Now, we talked about Will Power to watch right now in his Verizon car. Got married just back in December to Elizabeth Cannon, now Elizabeth Power. And I said to him the other day, I said, how is it, because Elizabeth is the PR person for the Dreyer Reinbold team. And I said, how is it when you guys get home at night, maybe have a discussion about racing? He goes, you know what? It really ticks me off when she walks around the house with a Justin shirt on. She said, I don't know, you know, that Justin Wilson shirt that she has, he says, I think I'm going to go out and wash the car with it.
77 just finishing up the pit stop. What was going on, Rick?
Tagliani brought the car. They changed to red and they made no other changes, even though he's been complaining the car is just a little bit loose. But they've decided to go to the reds for this very last stint. Overall, very happy with the way the car is running.
We've completed 69 laps, 70 this next time by. We should be seeing the race leaders. Danica is in, Vince.
You see they put on the softer compound red tires for Danica Patrick on the final pit stop, filling her up with fuel.
She just went a lap down as the race leaders went by. She is in 12th position. She could cycle back through, obviously, when they make their stops. 78 is Simona Di Silvestro, Vince.
It's been a strong run. They debated red or blacks. Reds was the call for Simona. They put them on, and away she goes. They've encouraged her with outstanding laps leading to the pit stop, and so often those laps end up being crucial.
60 miles an hour all the way to pit out for Simona. She was at the very far end of pit lane. On the right side of your screen, the battle continues. Every time Power checks a mirror, all he sees is Geico coming at him.
Well, and you remember Power has his black sidewall tires on, which don't have as much grip. Maybe he can't get into the braking zone as well as Tony Kanaan, who has the red tires on, a little bit more grip. But we always thought that the red ones might fall off just a little bit, but Tony seems to have just a little bit better under braking than Will Power. The key thing, though, is to be able to get back on the gas, to keep that strategy going, to keep pressure on him, and maybe take an opportunity if Will makes a mistake, but very seldom he does.
L1.
So Dario is making his way down pit road as he'll give up the lead for the first time in quite a while, Jamie.
3, 2,
Very
1.
interesting strategy here, Marty.
Okay, we got a
the
wing
4
change here.
reds are scuffed, but the left front is a sticker red tire. One turn of front wing for Dario Franchitti. He's dominating today. He's down and away.
8.2 seconds on the clock.
Come on.
And it means that Will Power will become the leader again. The second time he's led today, our third lead change. He's led now a total of, I think, about 5 laps. Justin Wilson, Rick.
Clear out. Watch the speed,
We'll get more an update from Rick. Meanwhile, as Justin comes back out on the track, waiting to see if Will Power peels off, and yes, he does. And here comes Kanaan. This is going to be a battle.
All right, we're ready.
Pressure
we're
on
ready.
the crew.
All right, guys, 4 of them. Got an open box behind you here, bud. Open box behind you.
Kanaan hits
Nice and easy here,
pit
guys.
box first. Rick, we're sending
right
it
on your
to
mark,
you.
buddy. Right on your mark.
Tony
Nice and
Kanaan
easy.
brings the car in. They had a
Good
concern
job.
earlier. They thought
Hold the
Will
brake.
Power was getting better fuel
Nice and
mileage, so
easy.
he's actually been laying
Watch
off this
Eric now.
last
Watch
stint,
Eric.
trying to
Watch
get better
Eric.
mileage. No changes to the
Go,
car.
all clear, all clear. Clear to the wall. Clear to the wall.
You
You
can
got
see these red scuffed tires all the way around for the 12 of Will Power, your winner here last year.
Power gets out in front of Tony Kanaan. So the battle is still joined just as it left the track. They come back on in the same positions, and now Dario Franchitti retakes the race lead. Now the question is, were they able to reel him in? Remember, he had opened up quite a sizable margin on him when he broke off for his pit stop.
Well, he'll just have to be the master, making sure he hits his points and hopefully gets the traffic correct. Be interested to see what happens right now between Power and Kanaan. How close will they be? Both these guys are experienced. The outlaps are so important. If you can take advantage over your competitor when your tires are cold and the pressures are not up, it takes a lot of talent to be able to maneuver that car and guess where it's going to land going over the bumps, because the tires don't have the pressure and temperature there yet. They don't have the grip. If Tony's going to take a run at it, he's going to have to do it this time. It does not look like he is close enough.
We'll get an official time. 6.4 seconds, the difference between Franchitti and Power. And
He
that was
wanted
close.
to.
Yeah.
Well, he wants to because he's on black tires, and if the tires get up to temps and the reds are going to be better as we suspect they are, I think you will see Will Power start to drive away.
So it's get him now or you may not get another chance.
Well, and the rules regulate that you actually have to use one set of each, and Tony had not used the black sidewall tires as of yet, so he had no choice except to put those on for this last segment. It might end up costing him an opportunity to take Will.
So we have completed 73 of the 100 laps, and out in front, it is Dario Franchitti looking for his first ever win here at the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg.
ESPN's coverage of the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg on ABC. Brought to you by Honda, the engine supplier for the IZOD IndyCar Series. GoDaddy.com, domains, websites, and everything in between. And Verizon, official wireless partner of the IZOD IndyCar Series.
You're riding on board. Second place, Will Power. Behind him is a hard-charging Tony Kanaan, but we've watched during the break, and a couple of times he was getting mighty loose.
Tony's got the back end sliding around, tells you he's driving at 10 tenths or more. He closes up under braking. Now there's a choice for brake pads and brakes that you can use here for all the different teams, and Tony might just have a little bit more of the aggressive brake pad in his car. It allows him to get a little deeper into the turn and really punish that pad, but the downside of that is that you could lock up the wheels going into the braking zone, and with an experienced driver like Tony Kanaan, he knows exactly where to place the car, so maybe he's taking that to his advantage, but it all comes down to the package here, the driver, the car, and the strategy for getting up front. And right now Tony looks like he has enough to stay with Will. I expected Will to pull away a little bit more with those red sidewall tires because they do offer more grip, but Tony's being able to keep him just within range there.
There's your race leader, 7.6 seconds ahead of second place Will Power. That's how big a margin as he has gained. As we take a look at our Firestone lap leaders, it won't take long. There's only been 2. Dario Franchitti has led all but 6 laps of this race.
And you look at that stat, and that's probably opposite to what we thought we would see here, the way that Will Power ran the last couple of days. We talked about how strong he was on both Friday and Saturday. A lot of teams, as I mentioned earlier, said, you know something, if he does not have a problem, he's going to walk away with this event. But it turns out that it's Dario Franchitti right now that seems to have it all going his way.
See that third car coming through? That is Simona Di Silvestro. If you have not been with us throughout the entire race, this young lady has just been fantastic today, as she started in the 17th position, has gotten all the way up and has been running in the top 5 consistently since the second caution period ended.
And remember, we talked about her having the option of using black sidewall or red sidewall. You can see there clearly she has the red sidewall Firestone Firehawk tires on.
Get your overtake nice and smooth, You're catching them. Take your time.
A little bit more grip. Unfortunately, just had a lot of debris, some paper going inside the radiator inlet there. Hopefully that won't cause her a problem. But watching her times, Marty, she's turning laps somewhere in the neighborhood of a half a second faster than both Power and Kanaan, and about 0.2 of a second faster right now than our leader, Dario Franchitti. So it looked like her car, certainly as we thought it did, likes the red sidewall tires better.
Talking about the overtakes, the push to pass, Tony Kanaan has 11 left. Will Power has 13. Dario Franchitti has 15, and according to our statistics, Simona has not used it yet. Vince, give us an update on Simona.
Well, they've been really happy with the way her race car has handled. They've worked on it all weekend long to get it to her liking. You see there Vince Kramer in the front. He's the team manager. Keith Wiggins, the team owner, standing in the back. After the last pit stop, Vince Kramer went around to each of the crew members, shook their hand, patted them on the back.
65-2 on red. doing a great job. Nice, smooth focus.
Heard the radio communication there from Brent Harvey, but Kramer went around to each of the crew members and congratulated them on a job well done as they finished their final pit stop of the day, or what should be their last pit stop of the day. Very solid on pit lane today for this HVM team.
Talking about the red and the blacks, the red alternates. All but 3 drivers in the top 10 are using those red alternates, including Simona. The 3 that are not, Tony Kanaan, Takuma Sato in 5th, Oriol Servia in 9th. J.R. Hildebrand, we should point out, we haven't seen him for a while, but we'll let you know he is rounding out the top 10 right now. The rookie doing a great job, 34 seconds behind the race leader, but in 10th place.
And we talk about Simona having 20 of the pushes left on her acceleration mode, as we call it, the push to pass, the Honda overtake assist. She'll want to use that going on to the main straightaway, just in this section right now, because you have 20 options. She's not used any. From what we can tell, it lasts for 12 seconds. And with, you know, about 20 laps to go, this is when she really needs to start using it.
That man in the middle of this sandwich is Tony Kanaan. Rick, what are you hearing?
Well, we were just giving a shout out to Simona Di Silvestro's crew. We also need to do the same thing for Tony Kanaan's crew. The reason being, realize that these guys were not a pit crew 2 weeks ago. They've all been pulled together. Now, it's not a ragtag bunch. It's all people that KV Racing has worked with in the past, but they had to pull them all together and realize his pit stops were on par with Will Power and the Penske crew. They've done a great job. And I'll also mention that Tony Kanaan, after he got out of the car for practice yesterday, the final practice, went around to every crew member and thanked him after he got out of the car. He's working hard to build a team.
Well, and speaking of the team concept, of course, remember earlier in the week, Marco Andretti had basically put it out that you know, Tony was a good driver, valuable, but was not the only reason the team had success. Tony has taken the high road. He said, look, the only thing I can say is I won 14 races, and I'm going to leave on the high note. He talked about it.
I've done my time. I won a lot of races with a team that I was proud to be part of it, and that became to an end, and I wish them the best, and I have a new home. I have more things to worry about than what people say about me, really. If I was going to worry about the people that don't like me or like me too much, I think we were going to go crazy.
Well, I remember earlier this weekend, I asked him about all that, and he said, I'm going to let my driving do the talking, and he is right now running in 3rd place.
By far, all the drivers are fit, but Tony Kanaan really probably takes it to the next level. You probably will not have to worry about any fatigue with him or Will Power. Drivers that really do a lot of training. Top drivers here, we talked about running at 85-degree temperatures inside that cockpit. The temperature in the cockpit can reach about 130 degrees. There's no water bottle system usually on board on some of these cars. They've come up with some great systems in the past, but I will tell you that, you know, the systems they do have after about 10 or 15 laps, it's so hot, the fluids that they give you, that sometimes you almost don't even want it.
Well, we mentioned J.R. Hildebrand as he had a bit of a moment just a few moments ago. Let's go back on board with him. He's running in 10th.
Watch him coming here. We'll be about 158, 60 miles an hour. And oh, so close.
You're clear. Bring her on down. Bring her on down. You got the 9 coming. Get the 9 coming.
Talked earlier in the show about how much speed he has, and has the ability, has the talent. A great driver, but needs to have a little patience.
Well, that was Oriol Servia, who was 9th place right in front of him at that moment. So it was a bit of a moment for J.R. Hildebrand. Dario Franchitti leading with 18 to go at the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. 4 cautions in the first 15 laps and 1 since. And for Dario Franchitti, he's had pretty much clear sailing because it's always been happening behind him. As you can see, his lead over Will Power is now 7.6 seconds. Tony Kanaan is 3rd. Simona Di Silvestro is 4th, and a great run, and Takuma Sato rounds out the top 5. A total of 12 cars on the lead lap, and you just heard 15 laps to go as he goes past Anna Beatrice. One more time, puts her another lap down. She is in 14th.
Tony, 15 to go, buddy. 15 to go.
There is 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and we have confirmed this because it still shows Simona with 20 push-to-passes left. That's what they give you at the start of the race. She has not used a single one.
Well, it's amazing because that push-to-pass, that the Honda Overtake Assist system that's on board of all the cars, you allow 20 pushes of the button. It gives you 10 more horsepower, a couple hundred more RPM. and it lasts for 12 seconds. Drivers usually like to push it coming into the last turn so you get that boost going all the way down the main straightaway. But maybe she's got a problem with the system, or maybe she just flat forgot that she's got it.
She's focused. That's one thing on that car right in front of her. This is second, third, and fourth place. Our best battle on the racetrack. And the laps continue to wind down. 15 to go.
Now we can see that she has 20 left. Her team also can see that she has 20 of the Honda overtake assist push to pass left. So they should be telling her, hey, don't forget that you have this button.
Great job, Tim. Great job. You're coming to some lap cars here in the next 2 laps. Be prepared. Focus.
Vince, you've got more on Simona?
I think it's an indication of how good her car is running, guys, that they have not had to use the push to pass. I just confirmed with Vince Kramer, the team manager, it does work. He said she just doesn't feel like she needs it right now. So I'd expect her to use a few of them here in these final 15 laps.
Doing an excellent job here in the season opener in the streets of St. Petersburg.
Now it's ironic that she's trying to chase down Tony Kanaan and her engineer that she had last year, and for the test at Barber Motorsport Park just a little while ago, picked up and left on Monday of this week to go over to Tony. So maybe a little bit more incentive for her to be able to get past Tony just directly in front of her.
Right in front of her is Tony Kanaan and that number 82 Geico machine. Rick, what are you hearing?
Well, let's talk about Tony's strategy for holding off Simona. The team feels that one of the reasons Simona's been able to gain is because she went to those red, the alternate tires with a softer compound, which gave her that ability to move up. Tony's on the black tires. Now, the advantage of the black tires, they're more consistent over the long run. Those red tires give a bigger advantage early on. What they're hoping is over the next few laps that advantage that Simona had been seeing with the lap times is going to fade away. And as a result of the consistency of those black tires, Blackwall tires, they'll be able to continue to pull away. But they were making the point they needed to have it happen soon because she was gaining pretty fast.
Well, and you just saw Tony do a brilliant move of diving on the inside of James Jake just into turn 1, gave himself some space between himself and Simona, and Simona did a nice job. She didn't push the issue. She went in there cleanly, and she got through cleanly. She's got a little space to make up now to be able to get back onto the tail end of the Geico machine of Tony Kanaan.
While all this is going on, we'll tell you Dario Franchitti, his lead is still at 7.4 seconds. Power, Kanaan, Di Silvestro in that battle for second through fourth. There you see our race leader going through. And then it is a big drop to 5th place. 22 seconds back is Takuma Sato. Alex Tagliani 6th, Rafa Matos in 7th, Vitor Mira 8th, Servia and Justin Wilson round out the top 10.
And this is going to be very interesting to see if Will Power can get her around Anna Beatrice going into 4. He does. I got to suspect as she sees him coming in the mirror, hopefully she leaves enough space for Simona to get through also, so Simona doesn't get hung up again going past the back traffic. There's Will Power being able to stretch it just a little bit over Tony Kanaan. You see Tony Kanaan coming into your frame. And then Simona keeps about the same spacing, maybe lost just a little bit. She's not had the timing of traffic on her side so far. There again, she will look to go ahead.
We talked about Tony pushing real hard. He's getting a little loose.
Oh, implying the power. He just gasses it, puts his foot on the Honda power plant. Number 650 horsepower.
And then keep an eye on the wheel of Will Power's car.
Up over the curbing, actually running over a piece. Possibly that's the piece coming off that we talked about before, which is a side pod extension. Looks like, yes, it's finally broken off. We talked about that earlier in the show. Lucky for him, it went up and over, did not get lodged in there and actually put a puncture into the tire.
Should not have a major effect on his aerodynamics, should it?
It won't at this particular track. No, certainly not. Matter of fact, I'm sure he probably doesn't even know it's missing. And as a driver, even if there's something askew on the car, your job is to look forward and just keep on pushing, hitting your marks, and driving it to 10/10ths.
Down that long Bayshore drive to the left-hander here at turn 10. And then that oh-so treacherous turn 11, where you can see the black tire marks from where Sebastian Bourdais tagged it this morning.
Dario Franchitti also, it's 140 miles an hour through there and getting slowed down to the last turn for about 50 miles an hour. This is a neat section.
Tony, 10 laps to go.
Along the Albert Wooded runway, and then 160 miles an hour, Marty, going into turn 1.
And from high above, you can see that there is Simona closing in. Now, as we get ready with 10 laps to go, our ticker on top with the complete rundown of everybody, presented by Sunoco. Simona has done such a good job, and you're right, she really has a better comfort level with the reds, the alternate tires.
Car works better for her. We saw her pace fall off a little bit with the black tires on, as we documented, but right now she really needs to start working that push to pass. She's now used it twice, but she really needs to push it so she can get close to Tony, so when Tony has a moment where the back end of the car starts to slide around, she can take advantage of that. I think Tony's slowed up his pace a little bit. Will seems to be stretching it away. And for Simona, she seems to be about a couple of tenths of a second faster than Tony. Obviously, Tony has years and years of experience. He knows what he needs to do.
Good job, Tim. Good job.
9 laps to go now. The lead is down to 6.8 seconds, but I have a feeling it's more Dario Franchitti. Whoa, as you see Tony light him up going into 1.
Right, and that's what I was talking about. Get close, put more pressure on him. His tires are probably not got as much grip as hers do. Just keep continuing to pressure him, to pressure him, to pressure him.
We were mentioning the lead is down to 6.8 seconds. I was getting ready to say it's more, I think, just Dario Franchitti knowing he's got a comfort level, not trying to do anything that would be crazy and put him out of this race.
Well, as the leader, you'll start to leave yourself a little bit more room on the turns going in.
High percentage.
And also on the exit of the turns, you won't be so aggressive picking up the throttle, also into the braking zones, leaving yourself a few more inches so you don't have any problems close to the wall.
Let's drop back a little farther in the field, pick up the battle for 9th with Oriol Servia and Justin Wilson. There is Servia in the 0-2, Justin right up behind him. A little bit further back, that is the 9 of Scott Dixon. Dixon is 4 laps down. He was in that first lap melee. He's in 16th position.
And Marty, that's a tough program to do when you are that far back and you really know that you're not going to make up any space. You're out there actually almost just pacing off laps. For Dixon, very difficult. Oh, something's happened to Will Power. He's slowed down there a fair amount. For Tony, actually, it's a passing car of E.J. Viso.
So there's Power. That is E.J. Viso, the 59, and yeah, it is a bit deceptive. Look at it there. You can see Tony's car, similarly paint scheme. Best way to look at it is on the wing plate, where you see Geico and Herbalife.
Now what happens here? Does EJ make the pass easy for Tony and maybe a little bit more difficult for Simona? Let's see what happens here. The team would have told him that your teammate's coming up from behind. EJ should just go to one side or the other, get off the throttle, going down the straightaway, should let these guys go through and race. But he's driving hard enough now. It looks like it's going to mess up Simona going into the turn. Yep, she's got to run a tighter line. A little bit more difficult. Now she goes wide. That's just got to anger her so much. And you know something?
You're all right.
For Viso, not very professional.
So it costs Simona quite a bit of ground, and now she's got to try and figure out how to get around E.J. Viso. We can tell you that Will Power and Tony Kanaan have been burning up the push to pass. Kanaan is down to 6 left. Power's down to 9. Dario Franchitti's lead, 7.7 seconds.
Yeah, but for E.J. Viso, 6 laps off the pace. Most professional thing would do is to ease off the throttle going down the straightaway, let both those guys, guy and girl, go ahead and have their race. Right now, he's really taking Simona really off the challenge.
Well, and the two of them have now dropped 3 seconds behind Will Power through this whole process. Vince, you've got more?
I think one of the things, Scott, is you talk about the fact that Di Silvestro lost all that time trying to pass E.J. Viso, but they were only going to make that move on Tony Kanaan if the door was completely open. They were not going to take a chance on ruining this top 4 finish by taking a gutsy move and end up crashing with Kanaan in these final laps. So even though Di Silvestro certainly got hung up by Viso, I think that door would have had to have been pretty wide open to make that move on Kanaan for her to make it here in these final laps. laps.
Well, and Vince, you make a great point, because her first session out here, I mean, they were struggling with the car setup, and they kept getting better and getting better. And if somebody would have said, hey, at the beginning of the day, you're going to start 17th and you can have a chance to finish 4th, they'd be doing backflips, and they will be.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think she did a very professional move, as Vince has documented. My point is, though, should not even have been the case. We shouldn't be discussing it, because Viso should have been out of the gas, and he's not anywhere close in the package. And what we say, what comes around goes around, that's going to happen.
Viso right there, 19th position, 6 laps down. Well, Justin Wilson, remember, he was in a battle with Oriol Servia, and he could end up losing the spot, as J.R. Hildebrand could end up getting around him.
We expected Justin to be a little bit more competitive here this weekend, because he loves this course. It's his 2nd year with the Dreyer and Reinbold team right now. He says there's a lot of opportunity. Oh! Same thing for Scott Dixon. Now, it won't affect him, because as you mentioned, he is 4 laps down.
Well, and we can tell you that Justin Wilson is now behind both Danica Patrick and J.R. Hildebrand. That is a battle for position. Hildebrand in front of Danica. That is
hey, you got Wilson behind you for position too, so just keep that in mind.
On board with Danica. Not missing anything up front. Frankitti's lead is 6.6 seconds.
So Hildebrand gets through that segment out of turn 1 through 2 and 3 down towards 4. A little bit better than Danica does.
Hildebrand has a chance to have the best finish for the rookies. He's running in 10th. 7.1. That is the margin between 1st and 2nd. They're letting Dario Franchitti know just how much in control of this race he truly is. He has led all but 6 laps, and there are just 4 remaining.
We talked before about him starting to back up the time just a little bit. I've noticed there it's a little bit more space on the wall. Instead of inches, you start to leave maybe close to a foot away from the wall as he starts to go through the kink there at 140 miles an hour. Let's see what he does here. A good 1.5 feet, 2 feet, maybe even more away from the wall. Just no sense in putting any pressure, any chance.
Well, to give you an idea, his last lap was 1:05. His fastest lap, 1:04, a full second that he's just backing off. There's the push to passes, and Tony Kanaan has only 2 left, and Simona has reeled him in again, despite the delay that E.J. Viso threw at her.
Oh, and who tells you who's got a faster car? Push to pass, she's got to use it right now. Get on the inside. Tony's going to move her over just a little bit. Get the draft, try to pop in the inside of him. Be tough to outbreak Tony Kanaan. Does she have the opportunity to do it?
She's looking.
She's
smart,
looking.
be smart.
And you heard him say, be smart.
Hey, slide
Kanaan
around.
is
He'll make
down
another
to 1
mistake.
push to pass, and there's 3 laps to go. Simona has 16.
She's got to push hard, keep on the tail end of Tony's car, so when she gets down to turns 13 and 14, she has an opportunity to take a run at him.
Vince?
Well, I'll tell you what, when she tried to make that move on Kanaan down the front straight, and Kanaan moved to his right a little bit, it got Vince Kramer off the pit box in a hurry to talk to IndyCar Series officials, feeling that Kanaan blocked her down the front straightaway. Scott, as you know, that was a topic of conversation in the drivers' meeting today.
And that all stemmed, Vince, and that was a great call. That all stemmed from Tony making a slight mistake in turn 13 and 14, just a little bit wide. She's not close enough right now to probably be able to make some run at him. But see, she's got much better braking going into the turn, but she has to make sure that she carries the speed through mid-turn, has the opportunity to exit at the same speed that Tony does.
2 laps remaining. She did not hit the button that time, so she did not get that extra horsepower boost.
Now, if you're going to pass going into turn 1, that is set up down in turns 13 and 14. You need to set it up back there if you're going to accomplish it down to turn 1. She needs to maybe enter in just a little slower going into the turn, and then you need to come through the middle of the turn, exit the turn at the same speed as the car in front, being Tony, or maybe a little quicker. Hit that push to pass, and then she'll have the momentum to carry her to the inside of the turn.
Working lap 98 of 100 here at the streets of St. Petersburg.
Be smart, 14. Don't let him jack you with the brakes. Be smart.
White flag now for Dario Franchitti as he comes down the front straightaway.
Last lap.
Final lap for Dario. 1.8 miles to go. There is second place Will Power. This is the best battle on the track.
Looks good. Carried out to the wall. Tony's running a bit of a blocking line. This looks good for her. She's going to have to outbreak him, though.
Tony Kanaan hits the button for the last time. He is out of push to pass. He's going to hold her off. So she'll have to do it somewhere very soon because she's running out of the top corners.
See, and she has, that's a blocking move right there, boys.
Down into 4. We'll wait to see what IndyCar officials do. She's right on him through 5 and 6. The next best passing zone will be down into turn number 10.
Not close enough quite yet. But she's going to have to push the button to push to pass, going down to 13 and 14. So hopefully she has enough of a drive coming out of last turn.
Let's go back to the finish line because here's Dario.
Great job.
His first win at St.
Baby, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
His 27th career win. Will Power is second. Now the battle for third, and looks like Tony Kanaan is going to hold her.
Good job, Tim. Great job. Checkered flag, checkered flag. Hey, Vic.
Third goes to Tony.
P3, brother.
Great run for Simona Di Silvestro in fourth. And much further back, about 13 more seconds, will be Takuma Sato in fifth. Here he comes with the Lotus colors, saluting his pit crew by driving close to the wall. But right now, it is all about that man right there, Dario Franchitti. He has never won a season opening race. Picks up right where he left off after winning the championship last year. Is this a sign of things to come? Let's talk to Chip Ganassi, his car owner. How about it, Jamie?
And there's high fives and hugs everywhere. Another first for Chip Ganassi getting his first win here at St. Pete. Chip, after the crash yesterday, your boys went to work and they put this car back together for the win. What does that say about this 10 team?
Well, you know, it was just the same team. They're ready to go out. You know, they obviously won the championship last year, and this is the way you want to come out in the first race.
All right, he got the first win today, and his driver, Juan Pablo Montoya, is sitting on the pole for the NASCAR race later on today.
And look at Chip. He is just loving it. He is loving it. While he continues on around the track, we want to check in with Simona's crew and what they saw in those last few laps. Vince?
Well, Marty, they did not get the victory. Simona Di Silvestro finishing fourth, but Keith Wiggins, team owner, I got to believe it's almost like a win for you with the effort that Simona and this team put together today. How impressed were you with the performance of the 78 team?
Well, I think we came from an interesting week, you know, with an engineer swap and some pressure put on us. But, you know, we've got a great sponsor now and a great opportunity. And we've always believed in Simona. So I'm not going to say it's like a win because a win's a win, right? And we've still got a job to do. But, you know, we just showed that we can do it. And she didn't put her foot wrong. And, you know, we got a little block at the end there, but I would have liked to have got third. But, you know, it's a good start to the season, and she did a great job.
How about that maneuver by Tony Kanaan to keep Simona behind him? What was your thought? I saw Vince Kramer immediately complain to the IZOD IndyCar official about it.
Well, there's a rule, right? So we'll leave them to decide if they want the rule or they don't want the rule. But whatever. I mean, you know, it would be nice to have got past him. But it's a good result. We'll take it.
Congratulations, Keith.
Thank you.
Marty.
A career best finish for Simona Di Silvestro as she comes home in fourth position behind our race winner Dario Franchitti, Will Power, and Tony Kanaan. Well, let's go to our Honda Victory Lane celebration because Dario Franchitti's sitting on the side of the car, and all we got to do is get him to spin around and take his helmet off.
And Dario, he was pumping his fist, hitting the steering wheel. Chip Ganassi came up and gave him a high five. I know this is a big win for him, especially what he went through yesterday. A lot of damage on this race car. A lot of people anticipating there would not be a run like he had today. Dario, I know you're all connected here. There we go, got the helmet off. After what you went for yesterday, I mean, you made light of it and said you straight ran out of talent. How did you guys as a team fight back for this today?
Well, that's what this Target team does. They keep fighting, and you know, they've definitely taught me that never to give up.
What a brilliant team, man. What a brilliant team. And that was how to do it today. Anybody that's questioning my or the team's motivation to go for it again, we'll see what we did today. This runs right through the team, this will to win. I want to say hi to Robert and Michael Wanzer up there in Indy. We're thinking about you guys, and they're a big part of the target team too.
Dario, have to ask you, I mean, you were up front, you didn't get to see a lot of what happened, but what is your take on the double file restarts today?
Well, like I said earlier, we're going to have to reassess what the risk is and how we attack that first corner. And there's obviously, there's definitely more risk there. It was easier for Will and I being up front. I don't know what happened, but I think everybody will be a little bit more, what's the word, circumspect about it next time maybe.
All right, Dario Franchitti, your winner here at St. Petersburg, Florida for the first time. Marty?
All right, thank you very much, Jamie. And a very happy Dario Franchitti moves him into a tie now, 10th all-time with Johnny Rutherford with his 27th career win. Rick, let's talk to Will Power.
Yeah, standing by Will Power, not the race you thought you were going to lead. You just had a rough time just surviving the first few laps. You said you did have a little contact in there.
Yeah, someone hit me from behind, but it was a lot of fun, all those restarts. But man, Dario was so quick. I could not keep with him on the blacks. Just didn't have the car there. I mean, he was just fast. He was just crazy fast. But it was still a solid day. You know, I was worried about those double file restarts, but just great for Verizon, Maya, Coke, Izod, Shell, but especially at Verizon to start the championship off this well.
All right, Will Power, congratulations. Vince?
All right, so Will Power, happy, but not as happy as he might be if he could have just gotten one more spot.
The sign of a true driver, wants to win them all the way through. And Keith Wiggins, you know, fourth, I want third, you know. That's the way it goes.
All right, let's check in with fourth place, Simona Di Silvestro. Vince?
Simona, you waited till late in the race to use any of your push to pass. Do you look back on that and see maybe that strategy would have been played a little differently if you had a chance to do it again?
Yeah, definitely. Maybe I would have used it a little bit earlier, but, you know, on blacks it was just kind of trying to make a steady pace. And then when we put the reds on, you know, we were really pushing. And, you know, maybe it's just because it's back in the car for the first time again in the race, getting used to everything. But, you know, the team did an awesome job, and my new engineer too. You know, we've been working together only since Friday, and to finish fourth, my best result is something pretty unbelievable.
Congratulations, Rick.
Well, you had quite a battle going there with Simona Di Silvestro at the end, Tony. I mean, you didn't expect to compete for a victory, and you didn't expect to compete with Simona Di Silvestro out there.
Well, I mean, I didn't expect anything, and that's a good thing. I got to thank the whole Geico KV team to give me an opportunity to race this weekend. My fans, my family, my sponsors in Brazil that made this happen, and a week ago, actually 6 days ago. So proud of the guys. I'm afraid I raised the bar a little too high right now. So we have a lot of work to do, but good result. The guys are, you know, the first weekend together, so I'm happy.
I'll tell you what, Tony Kanaan is exhausted.
And our next stop, of course, is going to be the Indianapolis 500, and you've got to think that that might be one of the guys that could win.
Oh, I think there's no doubt that he has an opportunity, but there's a lot of new drivers and new places. I think it's all going to get sorted out. But the competitive level of the IndyCar Series is at an all-time high. I think we're going to see multiple race winners this year, Marty. It's going to be exciting.
What do you think going into Indy?
Indianapolis certainly turn around and end up having a situation where the team can be there on the first note level with the driver. It's going to come down to communication and speed.
Okay, our 100th running of the Indianapolis 500. It'll be Sunday, May 29th at 11 a.m. That's when we'll see you next. Congratulations to Dario Franchitti. Thanks for watching ESPN on ABC. For our entire crew, this is Marty Reed. Till we meet again.